Chapter 4663. Lin Xian turned his head. A golden light flickered in his eyes and collided with the other party's light. Then, the old man's soul shook, but he quickly shouted angrily. "It's useless. Leave it for me." He stretched out his palm and turned it into a heavenly steel, suppressing Lin Xian. The ground below kept shattering. Lin Xian's face was cold. He held the Great Destruction sword tightly in one hand and the mysterious jade pedestal in the other. There was a teleportation array carved on it that could allow him to leave this place instantly. However, the purple heavenly steel seemed to be able to seal everything. This thing could even seal heavenly demons, let alone you. The old man laughed loudly and descended from the sky. He had already arrived in front of Lin Xian. At this moment, a little monkey flew over from the black demonic chi. He was holding a purple gourd. A clear voice sounded. "Yeah, baby, please turn around." The purple gourd shone brightly and suddenly opened. A sword light flew out from inside. The heavenly steel was split open. The old man's body was split in half, and even his soul was destroyed. This shocking scene made everyone go crazy. What appeared in the purple gourd? A flying sword. Was that an immortal sword? That was a late-stage Saint King expert. He was actually split in half by a sword, and his soul was destroyed. It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian was also stunned. It was so powerful? This flying sword was too terrifying. The flying sword in the sky flew back and entered the purple gourd. Little White looked around and said again, "Yeah, baby, please turn around." However, this time, no flying sword flew out. Little White said, I've used up all my strength. It seems like I can only use it once." The surrounding people came back to their senses and quickly attacked. Taking advantage of this opportunity, they had to get the item. Lin Xian grabbed Little White and activated the mysterious jade pedestal. The array formation activated and teleported them away. Those Saint Kings roared crazily and attacked, shattering the void millions of miles away. However, they could no longer see anyone. In a quiet desert, Lin Xian walked out of the void. Little White was still experimenting. "Baby, please turn around," but there was still no flying sword flying out. What was going on? Lin Xian asked. "Xiaobai said that with my strength, I'm afraid I can only use it once a day." Was it that magical? "Let me try." After Lin Xian took it, he said, "Baby, please turn around." However, it was still useless. Little White squinted her crescent-shaped eyes and said, "I've already dripped my blood and soul on it. You can't use it." Lin Xian said, "You little brat, when did you use it? So fast?" Xiaobai said, "This thing seems to be made for me to use." He lifted Little White up. Although he couldn't use this thing, it was the same for Little White. It could be considered a super powerful trump card. At this moment, the sand under their feet suddenly became hot. A wave of flames swept out, forming a cage that sealed off the entire world. "What's wrong?" Little White flew up in surprise and looked around with her big eyes. Lin Xian frowned. Someone was actually chasing after them. Could this flame be? "Brat, I didn't expect you to obtain this treasure in the end. You're really lucky." A cold snort was heard. Immediately after, the Qilin's figure walked out. Divine flames overflowed from his body as he stared at Lin Xian and then at Little White. "Little monkey, hand over the gourd in your hand." "Yeah, I already have the soul and bloodline imprint of this thing. It's useless to give it to you." Little White waved her hand and said, "Big guy, you should leave." "Leave it to me. I'll erase your soul imprint. If I really can't, I'll kill you." A terrifying light erupted from the purple Qilin's eyes. Lin Xian said coldly, "You're from the Qilin clan and also a top-tier Saint Beast. Why do you have to lower yourself to the level of 2 juniors? Give me the thing that's inferior." "Give it to you? How naive. Brat, you'll definitely die today." The fire Qilin took a step forward and terrifying flames swept out. Lin Xian felt a monstrous power. He released a terrifying dragon-shaped sword qi to block it. At the same time, he slashed the void with his sword and released the flames into the void. "You have some tricks. It seems that you also have treasures on you. Since that's the case, I can't let you live." The purple Qilin walked over and stared at the two of them. Lin Xian snorted coldly, "You don't know what's good for you. But you actually walked over yourself. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." The purple Qilin was stunned. What did you say? The other party wants to kill me? What a joke. Do you know how strong I am? Lin Xian sneered. So what if you're at the peak of the Saint King realm? Previously, you were attacked by those experts and were seriously injured. Instead of recuperating, you came out to seek death. I'm seriously injured, but killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. He was at the peak of the Saint King realm, and the other party was only at the early stage of the Saint King realm. The difference between the two of them was too great. It could be said that a single glance could kill these two ants. Go to hell. He had already lost his patience. He waved his claws and slapped towards Lin Xian. In his opinion, this attack would definitely kill the other party. The void above him split open. Similarly, a sharp claw slapped out and collided with the fire Qilin. With a boom, the Qilin was forced back. His face was full of shock. How is this possible? Does the other party have such battle prowess? In the next instant he saw a small vortex appear on the other party's body. Then a vermilion bird flew out. It had 3 eyes, especially the third eye. It released divine fire, which made his Qilin fire feel threatened. Demonic beast, you actually have a divine beast protecting you. This is really too unbelievable. The purple Qilin tore open the void and turned to flee. The other party was also at the peak of the Saint King realm and was also a mutated species. More importantly, it was seriously injured. He could kill an ant at the early stage of the Saint King realm, but he didn't have any advantage against an expert of the same level. So he had to leave. You want to leave? The 3-eyed vermilion bird tore open the void and charged out. Its wings cut off the other party's escape route. Lin Xian walked over from behind. Since you're here, don't leave. Kid, do you dare to kill me? I'm from the Qilin race. I'm a divine beast. The Qilin shouted coldly. Lin Xian said, so what if you're from the Qilin race? You're not a true descendant of the monarch race. You're just a purple Qilin. Besides, you're already here to kill me. You want me to let you go? If you want to live, kneel down and submit to me obediently. Let me plant the seal of life and death in your soul. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. The purple Qilin roared. You want to control me? Damn it, you're a beast tamer. Lin Xian laughed. That's right. Since you know my identity, submit to me obediently and you can live. Otherwise, I'll refine you and turn you into my energy. Ignorant ant, my bloodline is so powerful. You don't deserve to have my Qilin's power. After saying that, he roared into the sky. The Qilin's bloodline suppressed the 3-eyed vermilion bird and forced it to retreat. Chapter 4664. However, Lin Xian didn't care at all. A dragon's voice rang out from his body, suppressing the Qilin bloodline. Little White was also there, not affected in the slightest. How could this be? A monkey and a human actually didn't fear his bloodline? Moreover, this human actually let out a dragon's voice. Was he a dragon? Looks like you won't submit if I don't teach you a lesson. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly and the 3-eyed vermilion bird charged over. The purple Qilin roared and the two of them fought fiercely. Fortunately, there wasn't anyone in this desert. The purple Qilin was a top-tier saint beast. It was only injured, so it was defeated by the 3-eyed vermilion bird in the end. A pair of sharp claws grabbed the purple Qilin. The purple Qilin fell to the ground and roared. Kid, kill me if you have the guts. He didn't believe that a human youth had the strength to kill him. Lin Xian took out the dragon sword soul and cut off the Qilin's claws. Then he used the hand of fortune. The huge Qilin's claws quickly melted in the hand of fortune and turned into a drop of purple blood. How could this be? What did he do? The purple Qilin was completely terrified. One had to know that its physique was extremely strong. The Saint King could actually injure it. What made it even more terrified was that Lin Xian could easily dissolve the energy in its body. Lin Xian condensed its claws and turned them into the purest energy. This was too unbelievable. This person was full of secrets. I submit. I'm willing to be your guardian beast. The purple Qilin had no choice but to lower its head to save its life. Very good. Let go of your soul and let me plant the seal of life and death. If you dare to resist, I'll kill you. Lin Xian started to use the seal of life and death. However, the purple Qilin was a top-tier saint beast. Even if it didn't resist, it still took him 10 days to complete it. After it was done, the purple Qilin's expression changed. Although it still retained its intelligence, there was a force in the depths of its soul that made it unable to resist Lin Xian's orders. At this moment, it was lying there respectfully. Lin Xian sat cross-legged and quickly recovered. This time, he had used up all his soul energy to plant the seal of life, and his soul energy was extremely weak. He had to recover quickly. It took him another half a month to recover the strength of his soul to its peak. It was too difficult. With his current strength, it was very difficult for him to control a pinnacle saint beast. Fortunately, it was Violet who was heavily injured this time. Otherwise, he would not have been able to control the other party. The most he could do was run away from the other party. Almost a month had passed. He wondered how the others were doing. Did you find any treasures? According to Lin Xian's conjecture, the others should have gained something. However, they probably wouldn't be able to obtain a heaven-shaking treasure in a short period of time. After all, the purple gourd was something he had spent a great deal of effort to guess. The other treasures would definitely be extremely dangerous as well. His guess was correct. Those experts and geniuses had all gained something, but they weren't satisfied. It was because they had discovered an even greater opportunity. However, it was even more dangerous. Either there was a peerless formation, or the treasure itself was incomparably heaven-defying and impossible to obtain. In the sky, 3 figures quickly flew past. They were extremely fast, as if they were looking for something. At this moment, a streamer streaked across the sky and blocked their path. The streamer was even faster than them. Guang Ming stopped and turned to look at the 3 people in front of him. He asked coldly, "What information did you get?" "Hand it over." The 3 of them stopped. They were the 3 experts from the Wind Clan. Their faces were cold. "Our business has nothing to do with you, right? Get lost." Guang Ming sneered. "You don't know what's good for you." He rushed over at his maximum speed. "You're courting death. Do you really think I don't dare to fight you? If you die here, no one will know that it's us." The 3 experts were furious and rushed forward. On the surface, these remote antiquity families and sects were at peace and even allied with each other. However, each of them was an opponent. If there was a chance to kill the geniuses of the other families, they would naturally attack. Soon they realized that they were wrong. Although they were from the Wind Clan and had mastered the power of the wind, they were too slow compared to Guang Ming. They couldn't find any trace of Guang Ming at all. Guang Ming's every attack made them vomit blood. "You're too slow. You're like a snail in front of me." Not long after, the 3 of them vomited blood and were suppressed. Guang Ming's eyes flickered as he interrogated them. Finally, he got some information. With a wave of his hand, Guang Ming killed the 3 of them. In the next moment, he soared into the sky. On the other side, Yi Wudao was fighting with the holy heavens. In the end, he obtained 2 divine crystals that had something sealed in them. Jin Wu Hao attacked the people of the Pill Cauldron School and snatched a spirit fruit. Half of the spirit fruit had been petrified, but it was still a mysterious treasure. Feng Huang, Sheng Tiance, Yu Xie, and the others were doing their best to find the treasure. Gradually, they flew in the same direction. In that direction, a terrifying power was released. Qin Xiener stopped in a mountain range. She frowned when she saw that there was a battle in front of her. The ones fighting were Violet Palace realm experts and other experts. The ones fighting were Guang Ming. Guang Ming was very powerful. He used the great desolate sky-rending palm and killed 4 mid-stage holy kings in an instant. Then he sealed their bodies and took them away. Qin Xiener was shocked. Could this guy be? Who is he? Guang Ming turned his head and looked at Qin Xiener. When he saw that it was Qin Xiener, his killing intent disappeared. He took a step forward and came to Qin Xiener's side. Qin Xiener asked, "Are you going to cultivate that kind of cultivation technique?" Guang Ming sneered. You know quite a lot. Although you're one of the successors of the immortal mountain, I advise you to mind your own business. Successors can also die. No one can be sure who will be the final successor. If you die, someone will take your place. So, it's best if you pretend that you don't know anything. As for the divine ability you mentioned, I can start cultivating it when I get back. Guang Ming snorted and left. Qin Xianer's face was pale. He dared to cultivate that kind of demonic cultivation technique? Wasn't he afraid of making the world his enemy? Their Violet Palace realm was all-encompassing. They had many cultivation techniques and divine abilities, but some of them couldn't be cultivated. First of all, the conditions to cultivate them were very strict. Only a small number of geniuses had the qualifications to cultivate them. Moreover, even if they cultivated them, they wouldn't dare to use them because it was a taboo martial art that wasn't allowed to appear in the world. But now, it seemed that the Violet Palace realm wanted Guang Ming to cultivate them? It was too inconceivable. Forget it, I can't do anything about it. Qin Xianer shook her head. It was better not to provoke this guy. Otherwise, her life would be in danger. When she thought of this, her figure flickered and left. In the vast desert. Suddenly, there was another change. Lin Xian opened his eyes. What's going on? Chapter 4665. He wanted to leave, but the situation shocked him. The desert moved quickly, forming quicksand and a huge whirlpool. Then, the ground cracked and a terrifying aura spread out. There was something shocking under the desert. Lin Xian was shocked. He wanted to check it out, but he left in an instant and flew into the distance. The aura here instantly alarmed many people. Experts descended to investigate the area. Great, there was a treasure here. The secret of the heavenly court might be here. Several figures descended one after another, and then they began to fight. They tore through the 9 heavens and swept across the area. They were all peak sage kings. They were strong enough to destroy everything. Lin Xian watched from afar and was sweating. Although he was far away, he could see clearly with his eye technique. He could even feel the terrifying aura coming from under the desert. More and more experts were making their way to this place. Among them, there were a few who were unusually strong. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. He did not expect that there would be such experts after the great sage and so many peak sage kings had been teleported away. He had to admit that there were too many experts in the remote antiquity families and the great sections. Those experts looked solemn when they arrived. At the same time, a few figures descended. One of them had the sage sky diagram around him. He was like an unparalleled god of war, extremely powerful. Sage Qianba, a peak sage king from the Sage Sky clan. His arrival caused the entire area to tremble. There was indeed a treasure. Another cold voice sounded. It was a golden crow. It was extremely powerful and was called Golden Crow Flame. It was also a peak sage king. Buzz. The sky was filled with hurricanes and a lady from the Wind clan walked out. She was the wife of the Wind clan leader. Her name was Feng Hua. She was a peak sage king. Although the other clans and sects also had peak sage kings, they were still weaker than the 3 of them. These 3 people were also unparalleled existences among peak saint kings. The 3 of them stood at the front and looked down at the desert. The other experts stood around them. Lin Xian watched from afar. At this moment, a black shadow appeared beside him. Lin Xian turned around and realized that it was He Shan. Speaking of which, where did you go? Black Mountain said that he went to get something. Next, I have to enter the desert and I need your help. Was it to break the array? Lin Xian asked. He Shan shook his head. Let them break the array formation. When the time comes, I want to go in and take something. That is my purpose for coming here. However, I might need some of your blood. A drop of blood. What was Lin Xian surprised about? He Shan smiled mysteriously. Let's not talk about it now. However, if you help me, I won't treat you unfairly. When the time comes, I will also help you obtain the treasure. Lin Xian nodded. Although there were many peak saint kings in front of him, and even 3 top experts, Lin Xian had nothing to fear with He Shan around. Moreover, he still had many trump cards. At this moment, Feng Hua made her move. With a wave of her hand, a storm filled the sky. The endless desert was torn apart, causing the crack to widen. Everyone saw that there was a thick stone door below. It seemed to be blocking everything. Let me do it. After the storm, Xing Tianba made his move. He took a step forward and the sage sky diagram rotated, attacking the stone door below. With an earth-shattering boom, cracks appeared in all directions. This power was enough to destroy the outside world. Only the ancient ruins of the heavenly court was powerful. A crack appeared on the stone door in front of him. Clearly, it had been pushed open a little. Everyone was shocked. Xing Tianba was so powerful that he could only open a crack with the sage sky diagram. It seemed that it would take a lot of energy to completely open it. Jinwu Hao said from afar. The elders hurriedly called the old ancestor over. In front, Golden Crow Lion nodded and waved his hand. A spell flew out and flew to the sky. He was summoning their great sage. The other clan of the ancients and the great sects also moved. In the current situation, it was better to let the great sage come. However, after waiting for a while, they frowned. None of the great sage came. What was going on? I can't seem to sense the old ancestor's aura. Could it be? The old ancestor didn't come in? How could it be? The first to come in were the great sage. But until now, they hadn't found them. Thinking carefully, they didn't even see the great sage in some of the important treasures. It was unbelievable. Would the great sage be willing to give up these treasures? Feng Huang frowned. It seemed that some of the peak Saint Kings of the Wind Clan didn't see them either. The others were discussing. What was going on? These people came in first. At this moment, there was no news. Could it be that something had happened? Thinking of this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. It was impossible. Some people shook their heads. Those great sage were heaven-defying. Even if there was danger, they could leave calmly. They must be in a more mysterious place to seize the treasures. Here, let us do it. That's right. The experts of the Serene Cloud sect also walked over. The others were ready to join forces again. Everyone listened and attacked together. With the 3 peak Saint Kings in charge, everyone joined forces to attack. Lin Xian was also among them. He released his extreme demonic qi. Finally, under the joint efforts of everyone, the terrifying stone door opened. A desolate aura spread out from inside. Let's go! The 3 peak Saint Kings took the lead. The others followed suit. Not long after, an earth-shattering sound came from inside. There were all kinds of laws flying out. Sensing this scene, Lin Xian frowned and sneered. They started fighting so quickly? It seemed that he could reap the benefits again. Black Mountain walked over and said, "Kid, we can't wait any longer. The things inside are extremely important to me. I have to get them quickly." As he spoke, he flew over. Lin Xian was surprised. What was it? He followed closely behind. After the two entered, they found that there was another world inside. It was incomparably vast. And at this moment, those experts had all entered. After entering, these people's eyes were red, because they found that there were some spiritual herbs growing on the ground. They were very old, at least tens of thousands of years old. Quickly take action. These things could not be found outside. One stalk was priceless. And here there were more than 10 stalks. In an instant, there were Saint Kings taking action. The people of the Holy Heavens clan took out the Holy Heavens diagram and enveloped them with spiritual herbs. The people of the Light clan tore apart the other party's divine ability and attacked. The people of the Wind clan and the Serene Cloud sect also joined the battle. The experts of the Pill Cauldron sect were even more aggressive. With the Pill Cauldron in hand, they swept through everything. As alchemists, they were naturally jealous of such old herbs. So, they had to get their hands on them no matter what. Chapter 4666. Kid, let's go deeper. Heishan said. Although these things were good, he did not care about them. He only had one goal, which was to get that thing. Everything else did not matter. No, I have to get one. This thing might be able to extend my life. After all, it was an old medicine from tens of thousands of years ago. Lin Xian was looking for such a spiritual medicine to extend Xia Jiuyo's life. Now that he saw it, how could he stop? Therefore, he attacked in an instant. Little White, make a move in secret. You must get one. Lin Xian let Little White out. The little fellow nodded, hugging the treasure bowl and hiding in the void. Lin Xian went to the other side. He did not go to the place where the Peak Sage Kings were fighting. He went to the other side. There were many young geniuses there. If he fought again, there would be a few older experts. Lin Xian did not hide this time. He struck out with the human ruler seal. The black demonic chi was terrifying. The sky darkened instantly. A pile of black demonic seals flew forward. Not good. The pupils of the people who were fighting in the front shrank. This power was really too strong. Retreat. Everyone retreated one after another. A few who retreated too slowly were directly slapped into a bloody mist. Who was it? How terrifying. Many people turned around. Their eyes were shining brightly. Among them, Jinwu Hao sneered. He struck out with his palm. A golden flame swept out and collided with the black figure. The earth-shattering power shook the sky. Jinwu Hao retreated. His arm was numb. His face was cold. The opponent was able to fight against him. It was unbelievable. Buzz. At this moment, a black sword with a cold and gloomy aura shrouded the area. Suddenly, 7 figures were pierced. They vomited blood and flew backward. How terrifying! The evil spirit came, holding the evil sword. He sneered, "Get lost if you don't want to die." After he finished speaking, he slashed out 2 more times. It was incomparably vast, and some middle-stage Saint Kings fell. The others saw this and retreated. There were too many experts. They could not withstand it. You get lost too. The evil spirit looked at Lin Xian. He snorted and attacked again. Lin Xian was fearless. He took out the great destruction and met the evil spirit's attack. When the two of them collided, Warski's power surged. Just the residual power of the collision alone was enough to cause the surrounding people's blood to boil. Lin Xian formed a seal as he attacked. The primordial demon mountain came crashing down. The evil spirit was pushed back, its face cold. "For you." He was shocked. However, he had never known a demonic cultivator to be so terrifying. Lin Xian didn't say anything else. Staring at the old medicine that was tens of thousands of years old, he rushed over. "Don't even think about having your way." Golden Crow Hao charged over. The terrifying flames covered the sky and rushed toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian countered with a man-ruler seal, forcing his opponent to retreat. Blood flowed from the corners of Jinwu Hao's lips. He roared. What were they waiting for? Attack together. And all of you, kill him together. Otherwise, no one can stop him. The other elders and geniuses were shocked as well. Indeed, this demonic cultivator was too ferocious. Even the evil spirit and Golden Crow Hao were no match for him. None of them could suppress the other. They had to work together to kill this strongest person. Only then would they have a chance. Everyone attacked together. With the elder leading the way, the others surrounded Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face was cold. Get lost. I don't want to kill you. Don't make me do it. Kill him. Golden Crow Hao roared and led the others to attack. On the other side, some people also made their move. More than a dozen figures quickly charged towards Lin Xian. None of them were weak. Lin Xian felt great pressure. He snorted. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Buzz. A genius from the Wind tribe charged to Lin Xian's back and slashed down with his blade. Lin Xian's body swayed and he swung his shoulder, shattering the blade wind. At the same time, he turned around and slashed his opponent in half. In the blink of an eye, a genius had fallen. It made everyone's hair stand. The others roared, "Kill him!" The pagoda fell from the sky. The people from the Holy Heavens tribe pushed it, but it was destroyed by Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian's body was filled with a strong demonic aura. It turned into a demonic sword and swept in all directions. His physique was even stronger than any saint weapon. The great destruction in his hand blocked the attacks of the Golden Crow Hao and the evil spirit. It was as if a giant dragon had rushed into a pack of wolves, sweeping across the land. Buzz. A middle-aged man suddenly appeared and blocked Lin Xian. He sent out thousands of palm shadows. In the blink of an eye, he blocked Lin Xian's path. This was an expert from the Light tribe. He was a late-stage holy king. Lin Xian could not dodge in time. He took the punch head-on. In the next moment, he was pushed back and the demonic aura on his body was torn apart. It's you. Many people were stunned when they saw Lin Xian. Golden Crow Hao's eyes turned red. You're not dead. Some people frowned. How could this be? They saw Lin Xian. Lin Xian did not hide it. That's right, it's me. I helped you break the array, but you wanted my life. Since that's the case, you can all go to hell. Human Ruler Seal. Yi Futian unleashed 3 Renwang Madras at the Mighty One from the Light Clan. The Mighty One roared in anger and resisted the attacks. He was a holy king. However, Lin Xian's fighting strength was at its peak. The great dragon sword spirit roared. Lin Xian's fighting strength increased exponentially. Every attack was stronger than before. The expert from the Light Tribe felt his blood boil. Damn it, he could fight against a late-stage holy king. Kill him quickly. He could not be allowed to grow any stronger. Buzz. At this moment, a finger flew towards Lin Xian. With a boom, it pierced through Lin Xian's shoulder. Lin Xian almost fell to the ground. He suddenly turned around and used great destruction to push back the opponent's palm. What a terrifying physique. After the person was pushed back, her face turned cold. She was also a late-stage holy king. She was from the Purple Mansion realm and cultivated the ancient technique, Dragon Elephant Finger. Even if it was a late-stage Saint King, this attack would be enough to shatter him into pieces. However, there was only a finger-sized hole in Lin Xian's body. She found it hard to believe. Lin Xian roared and waved his hands. A large crack flew out. Now that he had revealed the true identity of the great desolate heaven-splitting hand, he did not need to hide it anymore. Therefore, he used this technique at this moment. The person from the Purple Mansion realm used the Dragon Elephant Finger to fight back, but she was pushed back and vomited blood. Damn it, how could it be? How could he comprehend it in such a short time? He must be crazy. This was also an ancient technique. However, it was very difficult to cultivate. Lin Xian had obtained it from the Purple Mansion realm, and it was not much weaker than his Dragon Elephant Finger. He did not know that Lin Xian had the great dragon sword spirit and could cultivate this technique at the fastest speed. Chapter 4667. The Great Desolate Sky Splitting Palm. Another attack was launched at Jin Wu Hao. Jin Wu Hao tried his best to block the attack, but his body was still torn in half. He roared like a madman as his body rapidly retreated. Lin Xian turned around and stared at the evil spirit. The evil spirit roared and attacked together. He brought 4 figures with him and charged over. One of them was an older expert. The evil spirit's sword slashed at Lin Xian's body and tore open a wound. Lin Xian did not dodge. The great desolate sky splitting palm flew out again and turned one of the evil spirit's arms into a bloody mist. The evil spirit's sword fell to the ground. At this moment, an old man appeared behind Lin Xian. The Wind Dragon Fist. It was an expert from the Wind Tribe. Lin Xian had a Taiji diagram behind him and blocked the punch. The aura of death enveloped the old man, and he retreated in fear. Damn it! His originally gray hair had already become incomparably pale. Lin Xian fought against more than 10 people alone. A few of them died, and Jin Wu Hao, the evil spirit, and the others were injured. Lin Xian was also injured, but the more he fought, the more courageous he became. His physique was strong, and this injury was nothing to him. Finally, he arrived at the front and looked at the spiritual herb, his eyes shining. It was a black spiritual herb that looked like the flower of 9 underworlds, blooming continuously. Lin Xian did not know what effect it had. He had to get it first. Countless seals appeared on his palm, and Lin Xian grabbed forward. Damn it! Jin Wu Hao's broken body healed, and he attacked again. The others also attacked. The Dragon Elephant Finger and Wind Dragon Fist were all aimed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian did not dodge, and the Great Sage Pagoda appeared behind him to block. The world shook, and the Great Sage Pagoda blocked all the attacks. Lin Xian finally grabbed the spiritual herb in his hand. Damn it, what is this pagoda? It was terrifying. The others were shocked. Those from the Purple Mansion sect were shocked. The Great Sage Pagoda artifact? He actually had such a defense. At this moment, Lin Xian had already grabbed the 9 Serenities flower. Then, he rose into the air and prepared to leave. Elder, stop him. He had a supreme treasure with him. Golden Crow How roared, and a golden palm came from afar. That was a peak stage Saint King, and right now, he was engaged in a great battle elsewhere. Hearing Golden Crow How's call, a hand grabbed Lin Xian. With a clang, he grabbed the Great Sage Pagoda first, wanting to completely seal it. If he could obtain it, his power would increase 10-fold, or even 100-fold. Lin Xian coldly snorted and summoned the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The 2 drops of essence blood that he had refined earlier merged into the Great Dragon Sword Soul. A sword slashed out. The palm was severed. A roar came from the distance. An old man in the distant battlefield pulled back his arm. At this moment, white bones could be seen, and blood flowed out. Jinwu Hao and the others were also dumbfounded. What was this? Killing a peak stage Saint King with a single slash. Do you still want to fight? Lin Xian looked around. This attack had made 2 drops of essence blood disappear. If he used it again, he would have to use his own strength. He didn't want to use it in such a dangerous place. However, if these people didn't know what was good for them, he wouldn't mind. Kid, just you wait. The evil spirit was afraid. Lin Xian had a supreme treasure with him. It was too strange. His defense was strong, and his attack was unparalleled. There was no way to fight him. He could only retreat and go for something else. Jinwu Hao also gritted his teeth and left. The others also retreated. The people from the Purple Mansion sect coldly stared at Lin Xian. Brat, you don't have many good days left. Enjoy them slowly. The sword just now had shocked him. The Purple Mansion sect had a long history, and he had already guessed what it was. So when they returned, they had to hurry up and kill this young man. Lin Xian snorted and slashed out again. The great dragon sword roared and attacked the Purple Mansion sect's expert. Damn it. The Purple Mansion sect's expert's face turned green. How could Lin Xian still be able to use it? In his opinion, whether it was the Great Sage Pagoda or the Flowing Dragon Sword, they both surpassed the strength of a Saint King. It was already heaven-defying for an early-stage Saint King to be able to use it once. He probably didn't have the strength to use it a second time. But now he was wrong. Both of his arms were broken, turning into the phantoms of dragons and elephants, blocking in front of him. He coughed out half a mouthful of blood, covering his broken arms. Then he quickly fled. Boom! The dragon elephant phantom roared and charged towards the great dragon sword with a murderous aura. Boom! 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 The dragon elephant phantom was destroyed, and the Purple Mansion sect's expert was sent flying. He fled in fear, not daring to come back. Lin Xian's face turned pale, and he put away the great dragon sword soul. This thing consumed too much energy, and he couldn't use it unless he had no other choice. He looked around and collected the storage rings of the people around him. He didn't give up on the corpses. Lin Xian could refine the corpses into blood essence. The blood essence could be used to refine his body, and it could also be used by the great dragon sword soul at a critical moment. Whether it was his body or his sword soul, they were both bottomless pits, so he wouldn't give up on them. He formed hand seals, and one seal after another enveloped the corpses. At this moment, he was stunned. He realized that there was someone else collecting the corpses. Lin Xian raised his head to look at the other person, and the other person also turned to look at him. It's you. It's you. The 2 people's voices sounded at the same time. The person in front was Yao Guang, and he was surrounded by fiend god phantoms. At this moment, he was also sealing the corpses. Lin Xian frowned. What do you want these things for? Yao Guang smiled. What are you collecting them for? To be honest, Yao Guang was also puzzled. He was collecting the corpses because he was going to cultivate a forbidden divine ability. This kind of divine ability was very terrifying, so he had to prepare in advance. However, he didn't expect that Lin Xian would also want the corpses of these people. What did he want them for? Could it be that the other party also knew a forbidden divine ability? However, he shook his head. There were probably not many people in the Violet Palace realm who dared to cultivate such a forbidden divine ability. The other party had no chance to learn it, so he was even more puzzled. However, this guy wasn't weak and he didn't want to fight with him now. Yao Guang turned around and left. Lin Xian stared at the other party for a long time, but he didn't make a move. On the other side, Little White had already begun to move in secret. Those people were quickly snatching the corpses. Little White was using the treasure bowl and the hand of fortune to secretly snatch the corpses. Finally, an expert from the 10,000 transformations gate grabbed the stalk of old medicine. At this moment, Little White's beast disappeared. The old medicine disappeared without a trace. Damn it! Who was it? The eyes of the expert from the myriad transformation sect turned red. He had gone through untold hardships to obtain it. In the end, it was snatched away in an instant. Moreover, that power was too strange. He didn't understand why only a leaf was left. There were very few eyes. The power of myriad transformation flew out, and everything around him was quickly disintegrated. This guy was crazy. Those who were still fighting over the treasures quickly retreated. Wherever they passed, the void would tear apart continuously. Chapter 4668. It was a dead monkey. Damn it, stay here. A talisman appeared in the sky as soon as the talisman was cast. It was the Myriad Transformations talisman, and it was extremely terrifying. A man-ruler's seal blasted on the talisman, blocking it. The man-ruler's seal slowly disintegrated, and Whitey came to the side of a figure. Who was it? How dare you meddle in my business? The expert from the Myriad Transformations sect was murderous. Lin Xian said coldly, I'll take this old medicine. Get lost. Damn it you! The expert from the Myriad Transformations sect charged over. At the same time, the others also said that it was this guy who didn't die. When they saw Lin Xian, they were extremely shocked. Kill him. He had already obtained a stock of ancient medicine before this. What? The eyes of the surrounding people turned red. You want to kill me? Do you have the ability? Lin Xian looked around. A crack appeared in the sky. Those who crossed the line died. This scene scared many people away. Lin Xian was very powerful to begin with, and some people had seen him in the previous battle. So those people quickly retreated. Of course, not everyone retreated, because there were some late-stage Saint Kings among them. Especially the expert from the Myriad Flowers sect, he gritted his teeth and said, I've crossed the line. What can you do to me? He walked over aggressively. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with cold killing intent. You don't have the right to say such words. Another figure walked out, and it was also an expert from the Wind clan. The last person was an elder from the Golden Crow clan. The three late-stage Saint Kings enveloped the entire area. Their cold eyes swept across the land. This kid has a spiritual medicine on him. You guys share it. I'll go kill that damn monkey. The expert from the Myriad Words sect charged toward Whitey. The experts from the Wind clan and the Golden Crow clan targeted Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly and summoned the Ice Fire Swan. The terrifying power of ice and fire spread out. At the same time, he also charged toward the expert from the Wind clan. A great battle broke out in an instant. Damn monkey, die for me. The Myriad Transformations sect's expert unleashed the power of Myriad Transformations and charged toward Whitey. Xiao Bai dodged swiftly and took out a gourd. Baby, please turn around. The purple-skinned Hulu released a piercingly cold sword light that instantly split open the body of the Myriad Transformation Gates expert. Even in death, that powerhouse did not believe that he would actually be insta-killed by a sword. Was he dead? Countless people were shocked. That was a Saint King at the late stage. Some people's expressions changed drastically. Damn it, the purple-skinned gourd. The treasure was actually in their hands. He was the Devil Dao expert from before. Cries of surprise could be heard as the eyes of countless people turned red. The people of the light race were fast. They came before Xiao Bai and were about to strike. Lin Xian summoned the Blackwater mystical snake to protect Little White and quickly retreated. At the same time, they entered the Great Sage Pagoda and rampaged about. Damn it, they roared and all their attacks landed on the Great Sage Pagoda. The Great Sage Pagoda shook and blocked everything. Then, the three-eyed vermilion bird attacked and killed the powerhouses of the Wind race and the Golden Crow race. Then, it rushed inside. Damn it. These people chased after it. Lin Xian controlled the Great Sage Pagoda and attacked the other places with spiritual herbs. Immediately, those people roared crazily. Those who followed behind the Great Sage Pagoda were also attacked. "Damn it, how dare you attack me?" These people retaliated. A great battle broke out again. Until now, no one could tell who attacked first. Lin Xian did not attack again. He had obtained 2 stalks of old herbs, both of which were more than 30,000 years old. His harvest could be said to be very rich. After carefully storing the 2 stalks of old herbs, Lin Xian continued to fly inside. Not long after, he heard He Shan's voice transmission. He Shan said, "Kid, come over quickly." Lin Xian walked over. Then he was stunned. In fact, he couldn't believe it. There were 9 true dragons in front of him. Their cold scales flickered and bloomed. Each true dragon was 1,000 meters long and carried a terrifying aura. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws. Lin Xian frowned and carefully sensed, only to find that these 9 true dragons had no aura. Were they dead? He was too shocked. They had been dead for tens of thousands of years, but their bodies were still intact. How heaven-defying was this? What kind of cultivation did these 9 true dragons have before? He didn't dare to imagine. Was this He Shan's goal? Lin Xian was surprised and looked forward again. He found that there were chains on the 9 true dragons. At the end of the chains was a bronze coffin. Who was buried there? Did he need 9 true dragons? Lin Xian was really stunned. What was this? He asked He Shan. He Shan said, "It's very complicated. I can't explain it clearly for a while. Do you see the lamp on the bronze coffin? That's my goal." Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. He said, "I see it. What is that?" He Shan said, "Sky lantern." With him, there was hope for the heavenly court to be reactivated. The heavenly court to be reactivated. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this. As expected, he said, "I guessed right. You should be from the heavenly court back then, right? Kid, you're right. In that battle back then I fell. This time, I came to reactivate the heavenly court." He Shan was really from the heavenly court. He was too surprised. No wonder the other party was so familiar with this place and could even break the array formation so easily. He could even find the sky lantern. Everything made sense now. He said, "What happened in that battle back then? Who destroyed the heavenly court? Was it the Purple Mansion?" He Shan said that it was related to the Purple Mansion, but there was an even more terrifying existence. Forget it, this was even more difficult to explain. Let's get the sky lantern first. He walked forward. When He Shan approached the sky lantern, the sky and earth shook. A terrifying force flew out from the front and swept in all directions. Lin Xian retreated and instantly hid in the Great Sage Pagoda. The hall kept shaking. Lin Xian was shocked. What happened? What a terrifying aura. He was really stunned. Those who were still fighting in the distance were also shocked. What a terrifying power. There's an even more heaven-defying treasure. Go! Some people had already obtained the old medicine and flew forward. Some people gritted their teeth. They knew that it was impossible to snatch the old medicine. They should go and find other treasures. These people all flew forward. When they arrived, they were incomparably shocked. Are these 9 true dragons? It's too unbelievable. These true dragons have indestructible bodies after 50,000 years. How heaven-defying were their cultivations back then? There was also a bronze coffin. Countless people were shocked. What's hidden inside? Is it the master of the heavenly court? There seemed to be something on the coffin. It was a lamp. Countless people were shocked. The expressions of the people from the Purple Mansion instantly changed. An old man stood out and shouted coldly. Could it be the legendary sky lantern? Some people from the clan of the ancients gasped. This was the inheritance token of the heavenly court. As long as the sky lantern was not extinguished, the balance would not be extinguished. If they obtained it, they might be able to obtain the inheritance of the heavenly court. Chapter 4669. Some people's eyes turned red. That was an extremely terrifying existence. The people from the Purple Mansion sect sneered. The sky lantern had been extinguished, and the heavenly court would never be reactivated. This time, they would be completely destroyed. Murderous intent appeared in their eyes. You want to destroy the heavenly court? Ridiculous. Heishan turned around and harumphed coldly. If the Purple Mansion sect could be reactivated, the heavenly court could be reactivated too. Or you. They stared at Heishan with murderous intent in their eyes. You want to reactivate the heavenly court? Are you kidding me? The elder charged over, his vast palm blotting out the sky and covering the earth as he charged towards Black Mountain. The terrifying energy made everyone despair. The heaven-shaking seal. His first move was an ancient lost art. Heishan stood there unmoved, and a terrifying force came out of the bronze coffin. The heaven-shaking seal was shattered, and the Purple Mansion sect cultivator was also sent flying. He vomited blood and turned into a bloody mist. The others were shocked. Was there someone alive in the bronze coffin? Impossible. He had been dead for 50,000 years. If the great emperor couldn't survive, they would definitely die. I don't care about the heavenly court. I want to open the coffin and see if there are any inheritances in it. Golden Crow Lai Yen of the Golden Crow clan walked out and shouted coldly. The others nodded. They didn't care about the heavenly court. All they wanted was the treasures and inheritances. At this time, an elder of the light race flew out, turning into a streak of light with extreme speed. He tore through the void and arrived near the bronze coffin. He reached out his hands and was about to grab it. Heishan snorted and slapped down, turning the Light Clan cultivator into a bloody mist. You think you can defeat him? He turned around and sneered. The black-robed man was so terrifying. Damn it. The Light Clan cultivator roared, but he didn't dare to move forward. Come and help me, kid. Heishan ignored the others and looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded and flew forward. He felt a great pressure. Heishan waved his hand and brought him closer. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief and said, "What do you want me to do?" "Use your trump card." With that, he waved his hand and 10 storage rings appeared. He said, "There are enough resources inside, you can use the dragon soul as much as you want." Lin Xian nodded and grabbed the storage ring with his claw. "Do you think you can light up the sky lanterns?" That was impossible. The 3 Peak Saint Kings stood up and said, "It was time to join forces." A woman walked over from the Purple Mansion. Her voice was piercingly cold as she said, "The heavenly court must not be reopened. Everybody, please lend a helping hand to the Z government. This time, the treasures you snatch will belong to you. Furthermore, if you manage to kill those 2 people, you will be able to destroy the lantern. Then, my Purple Mansion will give each faction an ancient scripture." Really? The people around exclaimed. Even the clan of the ancients was shocked. What Yi Futian gave them was definitely not inferior to what they already had. This way, they would be able to become even more powerful. The Wind clan member nodded. The eyes of the Holy Heavens race and Light race lit up. The woman from the Purple Mansion, Fairy Zillian, said coldly, "Everyone, let's attack together." She walked forward. The surrounding people all came over. Lin Xian was not observant. He realized that except for the Danding sect, the other sects were all here. The Danding sect people were more interested in the spiritual herbs. They were still investigating from afar. However, even if they came, they would not be able to help him. Now, he could only rely on himself and Black Mountain. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian prepared to use the storage ring to awaken the Dragon Sword Soul. Black Mountain said, "Use the Dragon Sword Soul to break the sky lantern. Leave these people to me." Black Mountain walked out, emitting a terrifying aura. Lin Xian was shocked. Can this work? Although this old guy used to be a great sage, his strength had not fully recovered yet. You want to fight against all of us by yourself? Fairy Zillian sneered. The other Saint Kings were also disdainful. No matter how strong the opponent was, they still defeated the Kylan. Now, this black-robed man was also no match for them. Humph, I don't care about trash like you. Those great sage will not come. So, I am not afraid of anything. Black Mountain snorted. Fairy Zillian waved her hand and rushed out. Dragon Elephant Finger. She pointed her hand with a terrifying power that could tear everything apart. The ancient lost art was terrifying. The other experts also attacked. The terrifying aura made Lin Xian's blood boil. Lin Xian wanted to summon his demon beasts to resist, but he found that it was difficult to resist. There were simply too many experts. However, Black Mountain laughed. Today I will show you my true strength. The black aura on his body quickly spread out. Then, it turned into a black locust tree. It stood tall, and a terrifying aura burst out. The tree trunk and leaves covered the sky and spread in all directions. Black leaves fell down and pierced through the sky. The surrounding people were shocked. What is this? Is it a demon beast? Humph, I don't care about a mere tree demon. Golden Crow Raging Flame sneered and shot out Golden Crow fire that covered the sky. Behind him were the experts of the Golden Crow tribe. They were like suns that floated between the heavens and the earth. However, it was useless. Fire could suppress trees, but Black Mountain's tree was not an ordinary locust tree. The black leaves seemed to have turned into a peerless sword that pierced through the fire and attacked the experts of the Golden Crow tribe. Golden Crow Raging Flame was hit and quickly dodged. The other experts of the Golden Crow tribe were not so lucky. 5 Golden Crow experts were instantly pierced and their souls were destroyed. Damn it. Golden Crow Raging Flame's eyes turned red. The others were also shocked. This guy is so strong? Windblade. Fenghua and the others shot out thousands of wind blades, each of which was enough to kill a Saint King. The powerful storm made them confident that they could fight against the great sage. However, a tree trunk fell and the leaves on it blocked the storm. The tree trunk turned into a peerless spear and pierced through 7 Saint Kings. Blood dyed the sky. Their bodies were torn apart. Fenghua's face was pale as if she had gone crazy. What kind of power was this? The other party's strength had surpassed that of a Saint King. But the black tree trunk with the leaves attacked again. This time, it attacked the Holy Heavens tribe. The Holy Heavens tribe's Saint Kings roared. Everyone had a mysterious heavenly diagram that connected them and covered the sky. However, it was useless. After the black leaves fell, the heavenly diagram shattered and 3 experts of the Holy Heavens tribe turned into blood mist. 6 experts of the Holy Heavens tribe were injured and flew back while vomiting blood. Black Mountain roared and a tree branch flew out and attacked Golden Crow Raging Flame again. Golden Crow Raging Flame's scalp went numb and he quickly dodged. However, he did not dodge this attack. Fallen. Chapter 4670. The Golden Crow Flame was at the peak of the Saint King realm, but it couldn't even block one attack. This black locust tree was too terrifying. The opponent was a great sage. They were terrified. Lin Xian was shocked. Wasn't it too powerful? Was this Black Mountain? A leaf could kill a Saint King. It was terrifying. The others retreated. They didn't dare to go forward. The people of the Purple Mansion looked cold. They couldn't block it alone. Sure enough, when the black leaf fell, 4 of them had fallen. Even if they had the ancient inheritance, even if they had powerful skills, they would still die in front of the opponent. One of Purple Lotus Fairy's arms was broken and turned into a bloody mist. She covered her wound and retreated quickly. Her face became extremely ferocious. Damn it, he had the great sage. Damn it. The Golden Crow How and the others roared. Where was our great sage? Black Mountain said coldly. Your great sage had been banished to the starry sky when he entered. He couldn't come back in a short time. What? The surrounding people were going crazy. Their great saints had long since disappeared. Had they been teleported out? Damn it. They didn't know at all. Now that the great sage didn't come, who could fight against the opponent? Black Mountain alone was enough to subdue the crowd. No one dared to go forward. He snorted and turned around. Kid, that's enough. Lin Xian nodded. He took a deep breath and released the great dragon sword soul. He took out 10 storage rings one by one. The power inside flowed into them. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul with all his strength and attacked Lin Guoqiang. In front, the ancient bronze coffin emitted a terrifying aura to resist. The terrifying power exploded. The people around were terrified and retreated quickly. They all retreated. There were even 2 peak Saint Kings who were still hesitating. They were torn into blood in an instant. When the others saw this, they didn't dare to go forward anymore. Now that the great dragon sword spirit had obtained enough power, it was able to display a powerful might. Although the power released by the ancient bronze coffin was terrifying, it was still not enough. Although the ancient bronze coffin was terrifying, the great dragon sword's soul could still cut it open. Just like that, Lin Xian and He Shan continued onward. Finally, they arrived at their destination. The aura of the great dragon sword spirit surged into the sky lantern, shattering all the terrifying power around it. The sky lantern swayed, and Black Mountain reached out to grab it. Boom! His body shuddered as countless talismans appeared on his body. Lin Xian was astonished as he realized that he was very familiar with these talismans. They were the Tao of the celestial heavens. Sensing this aura, the sky lantern stopped swaying. He Shan's body stabilized, and his eyes shone with a piercingly cold light. He finally obtained it again. There was hope for the heavenly court to be restarted. When the people in the distance saw this, they were incomparably astonished. The faces of the Z government's people were extremely gloomy. Damn it, did they really get their hands on it? A look of determination appeared in Zi Lian's eyes. She said, I can't let him succeed. Our great sage might have been teleported away, but so what? Our Violet Palace has more than one great sage. Summon the great sage. The people beside her said, No, we can summon it outside, but this is the space of the celestial heavens. It has a unique law, and it's different from outside. We can't summon it at all. Use that kind of divine ability at all costs. Zi Lian's eyes turned cold. The people around her felt their scalps go numb. Are they going to use a forbidden divine ability? They said, Got it. 12 people walked out. Each of them cut their palms and blood flowed out. Nearly half of their saint blood floated out and gathered in the air, forming a blood-red image. It emitted a terrifying aura. Zi Lian and the others kneeled on the ground respectfully and shouted, Welcome, old ancestor. At the same time, in the Z government, a mysterious aura was released, and one figure after another rose into the air. Someone was using a forbidden divine ability to summon from a distance. What was going on? I don't know. Let's go take a look. This power can only hold one great sage. I'll go. The great sage walked out, and with a step, he disappeared. The remaining people frowned. Some people said that there should be a problem with the heavenly court's ruins. Let's go there and prepare. The people of the Z government moved quickly. In the mysterious space of the heavenly court's ruins. When the others saw this scene, they were shocked. What is this person trying to do? Is he really going to summon a great sage? No, we have to summon it too. The other clans of the ancients also started to move. They also had more than one great sage. Some people formed seals with their palms, and some people used terrifying divine abilities. Some people took out formations to teleport. However, it was useless. The Tao of the celestial heavens suppressed everything. What was going on? They couldn't send it out at all. How did he do it? They were really shocked. An elder from the Light Clan said, This was a forbidden superpower, and the price to pay was extremely high. These 12 people lost at least half of their saint blood. More importantly, each of them lost at least 1,000 years of life. What? The others felt their scalps go numb. The price was indeed high. They had to use their lives to do it. And there were 12 of them. If only one of them used it, they would definitely die. The space of the celestial heavens was too terrifying. Everyone was shocked. He Shan in front was also preparing to light the sky lanterns, so he didn't have time to care about this. He said, Brat, give me your golden saint blood. Lin Xian cut his finger. The golden saint blood fell into the sky lantern, but it soon disappeared. He Shan said, It's not enough. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and continued to drip his blood. Almost 1/3 of the golden saint blood could be seen in the sky lantern. He Shan formed a seal and took out a treasure box. There was an extremely terrifying aura inside it. It was a ball of flame. It was very small, but its power was incomparably terrifying. He took out the flame and put it on the sky lantern. The golden saint blood, as a source of power, began to shine. Countless mysterious Tao patterns appeared on the sky lantern, and an even more terrifying and mysterious aura spread out. Is he really going to use the sky lantern? In the distance, the people of the ancients were terrified. The people of the Z government were pale. They were about to faint. At this moment, the blood-red color above them, a figure gradually condensed in the table. Along with it was the aura of the great sage of Zhejiang. It was going to teleport over. Lin Xian and He Shan naturally felt it too, but they didn't have time to care. At this moment, the sky lanterns had not been completely lit. It was the most critical moment. Everyone was extremely nervous. At this moment, a flame lit up in the darkness. The sky lantern was lit. It was done. He Shan was overjoyed. Lin Xian was also shocked. Is that it? He felt that the sky lantern was emitting an extremely mysterious aura, but he didn't know what it was used for. At the same time, the figure of the great saint also descended from the distance, and as soon as he arrived, he shouted coldly. He shouted and slammed his palm forward. Below his feet, the 12 Purple Mansion Saint Kings immediately fainted. They had used too much energy. Chapter 4671. The cold voice of the great sage resounded between heaven and earth. There's no need for things that have already been destroyed to live. Not good. Lin Xian exclaimed. He felt a great threat. With a wave of his hand, 2 willow branches flew out. These were given to him by the Shao family's guardian beast. They had already been broken after receiving the great sage's attack. However, they still had some power. Lin Xian took them out. He Shan also shouted coldly. He grabbed the sky lantern with one hand and slapped it out at the same time. A deafening sound rang out. Lin Xian used the 2 willow branches to protect his body, blocking the attack. Countless cracks appeared on the 2 willow branches. It looked like he could only use them one last time. He took a deep breath, gritted his teeth, and looked forward. He saw the great sage in a purple robe. It was the great sage that he had seen before. Brat, you actually helped the tyrant and helped the heavenly court activate the sky lantern. You deserve to die. The great sage looked at Lin Xian, and a biting cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. A terrifying power erupted. His gaze turned into a divine sword and attacked Lin Xian. This was the power of the great sage. It was really too terrifying. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul to block. With a clang, the gaze collided with the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian's arm went numb and was about to shatter. However, he still managed to block the gaze. The people in the distance were shocked. Damn it, how did he do it? He could actually block the great sage's attack. The Sage King and the great sage were only one word apart, but their strength was like heaven and earth. The great sage's gaze could kill them instantly. However, Lin Xian was only at the initial stage of the Sage King realm. He could block the great sage's attack. It was really heaven-defying. The great sage's expression also darkened. He stared at the great dragon sword soul and released a sharp light. You actually have a supreme treasure on you. Is this what gives you the right to be arrogant in front of me? Lin Xian held the great dragon sword soul and snorted coldly. You said that I was helping the tyrant? But in my opinion, you are the monsters. The great sage coldly snorted and grabbed the dragon-shaped sword shadow with one hand. Such a supreme treasure was not worthy of an ant. Lin Xian roared angrily and slashed out with his sword, blocking the opponent's palm. At this moment, He Shan laughed coldly. You seem to have forgotten about me. With a wave of his robe, a terrifying energy burst forth. Countless black leaves pierced through the sky. The great sage felt threatened and didn't dare to be careless. He struck out his Purple Mansion Great Seal to fight back. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out as the great sage's aura spread out in all directions. The flame of the sky lantern swayed from the wind, but it did not go out. After that strike, He Shan withdrew his palm. The great sage's face was also cold. It seems that you are also a great god. That's good. I'll kill you and destroy the sky lantern. He ignored Lin Xian and wanted to kill He Shan. In his opinion, Lin Xian was just an ant that he could kill at any time. Lin Xian's body swayed and he quickly retreated. The 2 great sages were fighting, and the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Fortunately, Whether it was the bronze coffin or the 9 true dragons, they were extremely terrifying. They were far from being destroyed by the great sage's power. Lin Xian was pushed far away. The people of the remote antiquity families and the peerless sects were also terrified. However, when they saw Lin Xian, their eyes turned red. That kid had obtained 2 spiritual herbs from tens of thousands of years ago. More importantly, the sword shadow in his hand. That was a supreme existence that could block the great sage's attack. It was a heaven-defying treasure. If they could get it, they didn't think about it anymore and quickly attacked. The void beside Lin Xian cracked, and a powerhouse of the Light Clan charged over. "You're courting death," Lin Xian roared. "Do you want to kill me?" He slashed out with his sword, and the powerhouse of the Light Clan dodged quickly. "It's useless. You can't hit me." As soon as he finished speaking, the sword cut him in half, and his soul was instantly destroyed. The power of the great dragon sword spirit still lingered. So, how could the Light Clan escape? Damn it. The eyes of the Light Clan turned red instantly. Light stepped forward and shouted coldly, "Kid, if you don't use your supreme treasure, do you dare to fight me fairly?" How dare he kill his people? He couldn't stand it. Lin Xian sneered. "Do you have the right to say that? You can control the Light Clan, but can you control the others? A fair fight? Then all of you, get out of here." Jin Wu Hao walked out and said with a smile, "Light, you're too naive. Now is not the time to talk about fairness. Everyone, let's kill him and divide the treasures." "I agree." Evil Spirit also walked over. Jin Wu Hao and the people of the Spectre sect watched covetously. The people of the Wind Clan were also tempted, but then Yi Wudao stepped forward and shouted coldly, "Whoever dares to make a move will be my enemy. I'll fight him." So what? The last time we fought, the winner was not decided. This time, let's do it. Then radiance and light shot toward Leaf Daodenier. At the same time, Jin Wu Hao snorted, "Everyone attack." The people of the Jinwu clan, the Serene Cloud sect, and the other powerhouses all charged over. There was nothing they could do about it. The might of the great dragon sword soul was too terrifying. Furthermore, there were other secrets on Lin Xian's body that everyone wanted. Lin Xian's eyes were cold. "You want to come? Fine, then let's fight." Golden light bloomed in his eyes. Dozens of demonic beasts flew out, including the Icefire Swan and the Blackwater Mystical Snake. The Blackwater Mystical Snake pierced a person as soon as it appeared. The Icefire Swan attacked, and the terrifying power of ice and fire spread out. The people at the front were shocked. Damn it, this guy can control demonic beasts and not just one. Everyone be careful. No matter, this time it was not only the younger generation, but also the older generation. The elders of the Sacred Heavens clan held the sacred heavenly diagram and charged toward the Icefire Swan. The people of the Serene Cloud sect charged toward the Blackwater Mystical Snake. The battle broke out in an instant. Lin Xian's demonic beasts were strong, but the other side had more people. For a moment, they were at a disadvantage and were constantly forced to retreat. Lin Xian was also in danger. But he waved the dragon-shaped sword in his hand and slashed out. The late-stage martial Saint King Elder was split apart and cut in half. The Saint King's blood was dyed red, and his soul could not be healed. Everyone was terrified. Damn it, they had to be careful of that sword. He was definitely going to die. Everyone could see that every time Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Spirit, he had to rest for a while. So this gave them a chance to attack. A Saint King from the Light Clan charged over again. His speed was extremely fast and he came behind Lin Xian. This was a peak Saint King realm existence, and his strength was terrifying. "Kid, without the sword shadow, can you block it?" "One strike." "Great, this brat is dead for sure." Everyone laughed. The void behind Lin Xian split open, and the three-eyed vermilion bird flew out. Torrential flames rushed toward the Light Clan expert. The Light Clan expert's pupils shrank, and he quickly retreated. But he was too careless. Even with his extreme speed, half of his body was burned to ashes. He appeared in the distance, his face cold. Damn it, there was still a demonic beast, and it was a peak Saint King realm demonic beast. The three-eyed vermilion bird spread its wings and flew, shooting out torrential divine flames. Chapter 4672. It's just a peak demonic beast. We have more than one peak Saint King on our side. The Golden Crow tribe's Saint King walked over again. Although the Golden Crow raging flame was killed, they still had peak experts on their side. The expert from the Light tribe walked over again. At the same time, the Serene Cloud sect also walked over. The three peak Saint Kings attacked the three-eyed vermilion bird together. No matter how strong the three-eyed vermilion bird was, it could not win. Behind them, Jinwu Hao sneered when he saw this. That kid is dead. The evil spirits were waiting to strike. Once the other party fell, the rest of them would have to fight as well. Kid, let's see how you escape this time. The three peak Saint Kings sneered. Two of them suppressed the three-eyed vermilion bird. One of them charged towards Lin Xian. The Golden Crow tribe's expert charged towards Lin Xian with a dazzling light. Lin Xian was like a small boat in the wind, about to capsize at any time. But at this time, his lips curled into a smile. His eyes shone brightly again. Immediately after, a purple figure flew out from the Black Earth ship. It was a huge creature. The moment it appeared, it slapped the Golden Crow tribe's expert with its claws. The Golden Crow tribe's expert's body caved in and his bones shattered. He was sent flying while vomiting blood. He crashed into the void and blood dyed the 9 heavens. The people in the distance were stunned. The smile on Jinwu Hao's face froze. He roared, "Damn it, how did this happen?" The others were also in an uproar. This kid still had a trump card. Even the two peak Saint Kings who were suppressing the vermilion bird were shocked. They sensed a terrifying threat. The two of them quickly retreated. In front, the Qilin walked out and roared at the sky. Its aura exploded. It was the purple Qilin. Many people had seen this demonic beast before. They remembered that they had fought it together and chased it away. Why would it appear here? And why would it help Lin Xian? Could it be that this guy was also a demonic beast that Lin Xian had subdued? Impossible. Was this kid the one who had set this up? Two peak demonic beasts, guardians, and other late Saint Kings. Lin Xian could sweep through them all. If it weren't for the fact that the remote antiquity families had joined forces with Yi Futian's uncle, none of them would have been able to contend against Yi Futian. For a moment, these people's faces turned cold. At this moment, the great sage who was fighting against Black Mountain pointed out with his finger. The dragon elephant finger charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian was shocked. The space he was in instantly shattered. Was he dead? Everyone was looking forward to it. Boom. A pagoda appeared from the shattered void. It swayed as Lin Xian walked out from it with a cold expression. Damn it, you still want to kill me? He Shan also sneered. You still have the mood to fight with me? Why do you care about other things? He used a secret technique to force the great sage back. One of the great sage's arms turned into a bloody mist, and his face turned ugly. He no longer dared to care about anything else and fought back with all his might. How could he not die? The surrounding people were shocked. Other than the dragon-shaped sword shadow, there was actually another pagoda that could resist the great sage. That was the great sage's artifact. Everyone's eyes turned red again. Lin Xian snorted. Purple Mansion, you deserve to die. He turned into a bolt of lightning and charged forward. At the same time, the vermilion bird and fire Qilin accompanied him. The other demonic beasts also listened to his orders. Wherever he passed, everyone retreated. No one dared to resist. Lin Xian came to the front. There were 12 figures there. They were the 12 members of the Purple Mansion. They had used their lives as the price to summon the great sage. At this moment, some of them had already woken up, but they were still very weak. Zilian raised his head and saw Lin Xian's godlike figure. He was shocked. She gritted her teeth and said, "Do you dare to fight against the Purple Mansion?" Lin Xian said, "Not just fight, I'll send you to hell." He slashed out with his sword and Zilian was cut in half. She didn't even have a chance to escape. The other members of the Purple Mansion also shouted angrily. "Damn it, how dare you!" Lin Xian sneered and slashed out with his sword again. Why wouldn't I dare? He was like a god of death as he quickly attacked the 12 members of the Purple Mansion sect. In the blink of an eye, 6 of them had fallen and the remaining 6 were running away. "Ancestor, save us!" they roared. The great sage's face turned pale when he saw this scene. He wanted to stop them, but he couldn't do it. The black-robed man in front of him was extremely terrifying. His opponent was a tree demon, but his strength was too heaven-defying. Especially those leaves, they could pierce through anything. He didn't dare to be careless. Lin Xian snorted and attacked. Under his command, the three-eyed vermilion bird tore one of the Purple Mansion sect's members into pieces. The remaining people roared, "Brat, what kind of genius are you? Fight me one-on-one if you have the ability." Lin Xian sneered. "You want to fight me one-on-one? Earlier, your great sage tried to kill me by relying on his own strength. Now, I'll let you experience the feeling of being crushed by someone." As he spoke, the Qilin roared and slapped another Purple Mansion sect member to death. The remaining 4 people were on the verge of despair. They looked around and said, "Hurry up and stop him. We will reward you handsomely." That's right. The Purple Mansion Great Sage in front of them roared as well. "Whoever dares to attack I, the Purple Mansion Great Sage, will impart to you a supreme technique." He was so angry that he was going crazy. Although he couldn't attack, the Purple Mansion sect was all-encompassing and had a deep foundation. They had once commanded many heroes, and now they were going to recreate their glory. Hearing this, the members of the remote antiquity family were also tempted. Some of them prepared to attack. However, it was useless. Everything was over. The great dragon sword soul unleashed its power again and slashed out, killing the remaining 4 Purple Mansion sect members. Those who were close to them were also sent flying. Their faces were filled with fear. The 12 Purple Mansion sect members were all dead. The members of the remote antiquity family didn't have a chance to attack anymore. They were terrified. So many of them were killed by a young man. It was unbelievable. In the distance, the great sage was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Damn it! Were all his subordinates dead? His heart was bleeding. The members of the Purple Mansion sect were all top-notch geniuses. Their future was limitless. Each of them could dominate a region. Now that they were all dead, how could he explain it? Just as he was panicking, the black mountain pierced through his body, and the leaves shattered his expression. Damn it! He couldn't suppress Lin Fan alone. Was he going to return empty-handed today? Kill that kid. The great sage roared, "I'll thank you." After that, he ignored Lin Fan and focused on dealing with Black Mountain. The members of the remote antiquity family looked solemn. They had thought so before, but after Lin Xian showed so many powerful trump cards, they hesitated. Would they really be able to take him down? Normally, they would find it laughable. There were quite a few peak-stage Saint Kings here, and there were even more late-stage Saint Kings. If they wanted to kill an early-stage Saint King, they could do it with a single look. However, they couldn't do it now. Chapter 4673. Jinwu How gritted his teeth. "Everyone, let's attack. This kid has many trump cards, but he's only an early-stage Saint King. I don't believe that he has so much power to support these trump cards. He's already at the end of his rope. He can't use them anymore. As long as we seize the opportunity, we'll control the pagoda. He'll definitely die." Yes, that's right. Some people also stepped forward, their eyes shining. The others also took a deep breath. They were going to fight. This kid had many treasures. If they really killed him, they would have enough to split. But, do you still want to fight? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The purple Qilin and three-eyed vermilion bird under his feet roared. The Blackwater mystical snake and the Frostfire swan roared furiously. Although the 2 beasts were covered in blood and their bodies were broken, they were still injured. Their bodies were stained with blood, but they were still not afraid. Lin Xian was like a divine king. His eyes emitted a piercing light. "I'll give you a big gift." He used the heavenly secret divine eye with all his strength. The power of reincarnation erupted from the 12 diagrams of heavenly secret. A golden eye appeared in the sky. It enveloped heaven and earth. These people were not made of steel. They had their own interests. Under the influence of Lin Xian's eye technique, their souls were also affected. Soon, Some people's eyes turned red, and they began to fight each other. The situation became uncontrollable. Damn it, it's a soul eye technique. Don't fall for it. Some peak experts and elders shouted angrily. They charged toward Lin Xian with bloodshot eyes. Die! Lin Xian roared furiously and struck out with his sword again, killing 2 peak stage Saint Kings. The others retreated in shock, not daring to go forward. Lin Xian's face was also pale. The power in the 10 storage rings that Black Mountain gave him had all been used up. The dragon sword's soul dimmed and entered his body. That's great. Seeing this scene, many people were delighted. Some quickly rushed over. With a boom, Lin Xian was forced back. He used the Great Sage Pagoda to block it. His expression became cold. Kid, no matter the price, I'll kill you today. 3 figures walked over with earth-shattering power. Boom. The 3 of them attacked Lin Xian aggressively. At this time, another large hand appeared in the sky and enveloped the 3 of them. No, damn it, what kind of power is this? Who was it? The 3 of them were terrified. These were 3 extremely terrifying elders. However, at that moment, they were turned into a mist of blood by a single palm strike. Lin Xian was also sent flying by this force. Fortunately, he had the Great Sage Pagoda, which prevented his body from splitting apart. Lin Xian's face turned cold. That attack just now was definitely from the Great Sage. Who was it? The Great Sage? He turned around and saw that the Great Sage's face was also filled with shock. He Shan retreated and did not attack again. However, his expression turned cold. The others were the same. The golden eye in the sky disappeared, and everyone no longer felt the threat to their souls. Their scalps went numb. Did another great sage come? Which clan did he belong to? A low laughter sounded, making everyone's hair stand on end. A figure walked over. Unexpectedly, even the legendary Sky Lantern of the Heavenly Court was here. Hand over the Sky Lantern, and I'll spare your life. Everyone was terrified. It was indeed the Great Sage. Lin Xian was shocked. He was here for the Sky Lantern. He Shan snorted. You think you can do that? That's right, I can. That person walked over. Everyone saw that it was an old man. His face was old, and his hair hung on the ground like a waterfall. There were even bones on some parts of his body. This person did not have much lifespan left. If I obtain the Sky Lantern, I will be able to obtain the inheritance of the Heavenly Court. Perhaps it will allow me to live for a few thousand more years. Therefore, I won't give up. The Great Sage's face was cold, but he soon smiled and said, Don't worry, fellow Taoist. I'll help you. Compared to the person in front of him, He Shan was more terrifying because the other party might have some kind of relationship with the Heavenly Court. The person in front of him only wanted to snatch the treasure, so he decided to work together to kill He Shan first, and then deal with the person in front of him. Very well, the newly arrived old man sneered. He also knew that He Shan was very powerful, so he was prepared to work together. The 2 great sage walked up, shaking the sky and the earth. He Shan's situation became very dangerous in an instant. Lin Xian's face turned pale. Damn it, 2 great sage. What should I do? He Shan roared. Do you think 2 great sage can suppress me? If I were in my peak state, you wouldn't even be able to fight with one hand. Not even now. I'll show you the true power of the Sky Lantern. The true power of the Sky Lantern? The people around were also surprised. Wasn't it just a symbol of status? In their opinion, He Shan did not use the Sky Lantern when he fought with the Great Sage, so everyone thought that the Sky Lantern was not very powerful. Now, it seemed that was not the case. Lin Xian also frowned. The Great Sage Pagoda on his body was bobbing up and down, ready to enter at any time. The Great Sage seemed to have thought of something. His expression changed and he quickly attacked. Dragon Elephant Finger. He pointed out with a finger. It was extremely terrifying. At the same time, his other hand performed the Great Desolate Sky Splitting Hand. The 2 powerful techniques suppressed the sky and the earth. The other great sage was also extremely terrifying. His body was old, but the power in his body was indeed terrifying. He threw out a punch. The bright light was like the fist of a god, shining brightly. The two great sages attacked with all their strength. The earth in front of them shook. The void kept shattering. Run away quickly. Those in the distance retreated frantically. Some of the closer ones who did not escape in time were immediately blasted away and turned into blood mist. The other remote antiquity families and great sects did not dare to move forward at all. It was too terrifying. The three great sages destroyed everything. Lin Xian was also shocked. He entered the great sage pagoda. The great sage pagoda was also shaking. The great sage pagoda was extremely terrifying, but these people were great sage. Therefore, the great sage pagoda could no longer completely protect him. Fortunately, Lin Xian's physique was also strong. He blocked most of the attacks. The rest were blocked by Lin Xian's divine body. However, he knew that it was not the way to go. Facing the two figures who were like gods of war, He Shan was not afraid. The sky lantern in his hand was activated by him. The great Tao on it intertwined and then suddenly exploded. The golden sacred blood in the sky lantern burned quickly. A terrifying aura spread out. The divine fire flew out and floated forward. The dragon elephant finger and the great desolate sky splitting hand melted quickly under the divine fire. Is it that powerful? Lin Xian was shocked. The two great sages' expressions changed drastically. Oh no, they quickly retreated. The Purple Mansion Grand Sage unleashed an enchantment made of multicolored light, cutting off the sky. The other great sage's hair turned into a waterfall and rolled out. It danced between heaven and earth like a black dragon. However, it was soon ignited. He could not block it at all. Half of his body was burned by the divine fire. He let out a crazy roar. Chapter 4674. Although the sky lantern was powerful, it required a lot of energy. Currently, it only had some golden sacred blood left. After that, it would run out of energy. The sky lantern would also go out. Black Mountain snorted coldly. Then I'll turn you into lamp oil. He transformed into his true form. Countless branches shot toward the withered old man, wrapped around him, and pulled him into the sky lantern. The old man roared crazily and tried to resist. However, as soon as he got close to the sky lantern, all of his power seemed to have been ignited. His entire body was enveloped by a ball of divine fire. Fellow cultivator, stop. I don't want the sky lantern anymore. I won't attack you anymore. Please let me go. It's not easy for me to cultivate. It's not easy to cultivate? How dare you plot against me? Repent in your next life. Black Mountain was unmoved. He exerted force again and ignited the old man completely. The old man's body melted and turned into blood that swayed between heaven and earth. Finally, he entered the sky lantern. The sky lantern's fire suddenly erupted. Its power was 10 times stronger than before. After all, it was the blood of the great sage. It was much more powerful than Lin Xian's. Next, I'll deal with you. He looked at the great sage. The great sage's scalp went numb. He felt that his life was in danger. The sky lantern was like a divine artifact that he could not resist at all. Of course, he also knew that it was impossible for him to escape. He had heard of some legends about the sky lantern before. His only chance now was to block this attack. Only then would he have a chance to escape. Thinking of that, endless lightning bloomed from his body. Every move he made carried an aura of supremacy. As the great sage, he was not someone to be trifled with. Blood-burning secret technique, overlord fist of heaven and earth. The sacred blood in his body quickly burned. He roared angrily like a god descending to the world. He was extremely powerful. He pushed out with his palm, causing everyone to be terrified. Lin Xian took the great sage and quickly retreated. He knew that they were going to risk their lives. Black Mountain held the sky lantern in his hand and quickly formed a hand seal. The sky lantern shone brightly, and the divine fire floated out again. An earth-shaking sound rang out, and a destructive aura swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. At this moment, even the ancient bronze coffin began to shake violently. Not good, retreat quickly. The people from the remote antiquity clans and great powers were running away as fast as they could. The people of the Light clan were the first to escape. They came out of the desert. Then he continued to flee. Then, the Wind Clan and the Golden Crow Clan fled one after another. However, half of the people remained in the desert forever, killed by the destructive power. Damn it. Those people's hearts were dripping blood. Just by watching the battle, their losses were already so great. However, they didn't dare to say anything. Lin Xian also felt the violent impact, and many cracks appeared on his body. Damn it. Even the Great Sage Pagoda was unable to completely block it? What kind of secret technique did the other party use? The foundation of the Violet Palace realm was too deep. At this moment, he heard Black Mountain's voice transmission. Brat, quickly hide inside. I'll give you a good fortune. Whether or not you can get it depends on you. Even if you can't get it, you can still keep your life. With that, Lin Xian felt Black Mountain grab the Great Sage Pagoda and fly him quickly. In the next moment he saw the ancient bronze coffin open, and Black Mountain threw him in. Boom! The ancient bronze coffin closed again. Lin Xian felt that his surroundings had become incomparably quiet, and all the power had disappeared. What was going on? He was stunned. Did Black Mountain open the ancient bronze coffin? What was it that gave him a good fortune? Was there anything good in the ancient bronze coffin? Thinking of this, he walked out of the Great Sage Pagoda and looked around. The ancient bronze coffin was very dark. Lin Xian's body was burning with the 9 suns' divine fire like the sun, shining in all directions. The ancient bronze coffin wasn't big. It was just a place for burying people, so Lin Xian couldn't walk around freely. After he came out, he could only stay in a strange position. Moreover, he didn't find any corpses. There was nothing buried here. What was that? Suddenly, he discovered that there seemed to be something in a corner of the ancient bronze coffin. He stretched out his palm. It lit up the front. He finally saw that it was a jar, a black jar. This jar had no lid and was incomparably black. There were strange patterns drawn on it that made one's hair stand on end. What was this? A sacred artifact? A good fortune had to be at least at the level of the Great Sage Pagoda. And from the looks of it, it might be an attack-type Wu. Lin Xian was overjoyed. However, at this moment, the black jar floated up and arrived in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian was curious and grabbed it with his hand. The moment he grabbed it, he regretted it. Suddenly, the black jar emitted an extremely terrifying devouring power that devoured his entire body. Lin Xian roared as he activated his 9 suns' divine body. His fist landed on it, producing an earth-shaking sound. However, with his physique, he couldn't shake it at all. The jar didn't move at all. Buzz. Lin Xian felt his soul float out. He saw his body fall down and be buried in the bronze coffin. As for him, he was sucked into the pitch-black jar. Damn it, what was going on? Did this guy suck away his soul? Was he going to die? This was an unprecedented experience. Now, there was only a soul. There was no body, no great dragon sword, and no Great Sage Pagoda. All of his trump cards were gone, only his soul. The pitch-black magic jar was so terrifying. Lin Xian felt that he had entered a mysterious vortex. His soul was constantly being crushed as if it was about to dissipate. Was this a good fortune? Lin Xian didn't know. But soon he regained his fighting spirit. Even if there was nothing, so what? Along the way, other than these trump cards, his own strength couldn't be underestimated. I want to see just how mysterious this broken jar of yours really is. Lin Xian's soul bloomed with light as he resisted. The surrounding darkness seemed to have turned into a millstone, constantly crushing his soul. Every time, Lin Xian felt his soul shattering. But in this mysterious jar, even if his soul was shattered, it could be healed again. This pain made Lin Xian hover between life and death. Fortunately, his willpower was strong and he was able to endure it. However, this was like a cycle. His soul was shattered, then recovered and shattered again. He didn't know how long had passed. He even forgot that he only had one belief, and that was to persevere. Outside, Heishan sent Lin Xian into the ancient bronze coffin and then continued to activate the sky lantern. A great battle broke out. Although the secret technique of the Purple Mansion was very terrifying, it couldn't compete with the sky lantern. In the end, the divine flame of the 1,000 lantern burned everything and enveloped the great sage. The Purple Mansion great sage let out a miserable shriek as he, too, was transformed into oil. The two great sage turned into lamp oil and the surrounding space shattered. Chapter 4675. The divine flame on the sky lantern returned to normal. Black Mountain looked at the bronze coffin below and sighed. He had already gotten what he wanted. As for the creation, it was up to him. He knew that there was something inside, but it would not be easy to get it. Black Mountain came back to his senses and looked around. Then he placed the sky lantern in front of him again. He kept making hand seals and set up an array formation. The flames on the sky lantern scattered throughout the entire space as if they were performing some kind of ancient ritual. At this moment, the array formation was imprinted on the sword of heaven and earth. A divine flame appeared in the eyes of the true dragons in front. Boom! Their ice-cold bodies began to move. Boom! 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 9 true dragons soared into the sky and shattered the void. The chains on the 10 true dragons let out earth-shattering sounds. The bronze coffin was pulled up and flew into the sky. They had set off. Black Mountain put away the sky lantern. Looking at this scene, he quickly retreated. From this moment on, the heavenly court was reactivated. Outside in the vast desert, the people of the clan of the ancients and the peerless sects were shocked. What was the situation inside? They could not sense it. After all, it was an independent spatial world. That guy should not be able to hold on. However, Lin Xian did not come out. He might have died in the battle between the sages. Unfortunately, he was full of treasures. Some people sneered. It's fine. We'll go in after the great sage leaves. They all wandered around the desert and did not leave. Suddenly, the desert in front of them shook. Everyone soared into the sky in fear again. What happened this time? Look, the desert split open. What was that? It came out. Countless people were stunned. 9 true dragons soared into the sky, tore open the void, and rampaged between heaven and earth. Behind them was a huge bronze coffin. Was it alive? These people were dumbfounded. They could not help but want to kneel down and worship it. Previously, they had sensed that those true dragons did not have any aura. Now that they could fly, could it be that they were still alive? They did not dare to imagine what was buried in the bronze coffin. The bronze coffin flew in the sky. When the sun shone on it, everyone was stunned. At that moment, they seemed to have seen the scene inside the bronze coffin. There was a figure inside. However, that figure caused them to be unable to believe their eyes. It was that brat. Isn't that Lin Xian? Why was he in there? In the next moment, they couldn't see it anymore. However, that scene was forever imprinted in their minds. Damn it, what happened after they left? Why did those dragons come to life? What about the 3 great sage? Was he dead? Where are the sky lanterns? Was Lin Xian dead? This was the question on everyone's mind. Even if he didn't die, they probably wouldn't be able to get the treasures on him. Most likely, no one knew the truth of the matter. Perhaps only the great sages knew the truth. However, the great sages were nowhere to be seen. The 9-headed true dragon had already disappeared from the world. No one knew where they had gone. At the same time, they realized that the entire heavenly court ruins had changed. It quickly sank into the ground and disappeared. These people rose into the air and looked at the heavenly court that had already disappeared. They were incomparably shocked. This matter was really too mysterious. True dragons were incomparably mysterious. Lin Xian was buried in the bronze coffin. In addition, the sky lantern was reignited. It indicated that the heavenly court had reopened. Each of these things was earth-shattering. No, they had to hurry back and inform their families. These people quickly returned. They had to let their families use all their forces to search. They had to find the treasure. Everyone moved quickly. Not long after, the clan of the ancients and the peerless sects learned about it and sent people to investigate. The people of the Purple Mansion were the fastest. When the great sage was teleported, they had already begun to set up things here. Therefore, they also saw the 9-headed true dragon. However, No one dared to go forward. The scene was too shocking. After the nine-headed true dragon and the bronze coffin disappeared, they moved quickly. First, they went to the heavenly court ruins to investigate, but there was nothing there. Damn it, what was going on? Where was the great sage of the Purple Mansion? They waited for many days, but the great sage didn't return. Until recently, the great sage that had been teleported away returned one after another, but the great sage's figure was still nowhere to be seen. The great sage from before had been teleported away. At this moment, when they returned and learned the truth, they roared at the sky. Damn it, they had been schemed against. They had lost a great opportunity. There were 7 great sage. If they hadn't been teleported away, if they had joined forces, they would have definitely been able to open the bronze trial and obtain the sky lantern. They might even have been able to obtain the inheritance of the heavenly court. However, it was all too late now. Search for it. Taiching ancient city had been thoroughly explored. However, there was no news at all. In fact, Lin Xian's whereabouts were unknown. The black-robed man had also disappeared. Where did the sky lantern go? No one knew either. Everything was a mystery. Time passed quickly. Taiching ancient city had undergone earth-shattering changes, especially the top geniuses from before. They had entered the heavenly court ruins and obtained some fortunes. Rapid cultivation allowed them to break through and increase their strength greatly. It could be said that it was comparable to hundreds and thousands of years of cultivation. Among them, Feng Huang, Jinwu Hao, Yu Xie, and the others had all broken through from the early stage of the Grand Sage King. They had broken through to the middle stage of the Grand Sage King. Light and Yi Wudao had not broken through. However, they had both reached the peak of the early stage. Both of them had the body of the ancients, and the power they needed was even more terrifying. Although they had not broken through, their strength had undergone earth-shattering changes. They were not inferior to Jinwu Hao, Evil Spirit, and the others. In fact, they were even stronger. In addition to these top geniuses breaking through, a new batch of geniuses had also appeared in the other clans and sects of the ancients. After all, each of the clans and sects of the ancients had obtained some fortunes. Some of them had even obtained spiritual herbs from tens of thousands of years ago and used them to refine pills to create a batch of geniuses. These people had fought with each other. Yi Wudao sighed. He wondered how Lin Xian was doing. Hearing this name, the others turned solemn. Some of them frowned and sneered. A dead person should have been buried in the starry sky long ago. There was no need to talk about it. That's right, only living geniuses had a future. Dead, nothing at all. Was Lin Xian really dead? In a mountain in the Purple Mansion, Qin Xianer was also in a daze. When she received the news, she had secretly investigated, but she did not find anything. Anything related to Lin Xian. It was as if he had really been hidden in the ancient bronze coffin and disappeared. To be honest, she could not believe it. Lin Xian was such a top genius, and he had suppressed Jinwu Hao, Evil Spirit, and the others. He had hopes of becoming a great emperor in the future. Chapter 4676. Mount Eternal. This was a forbidden land of death. No one dared to come here. Even a saint would turn into a pile of bones here. There were many ancient cities around Mount Eternal, as well as some great sects and families. They were very powerful. At this moment, a huge city was very lively. Today was the 7,000th birthday of a grand elder of the Temple of Immortals. Countless people had gathered. The Temple of Immortals had a very ancient heritage and was also a great sect. They were all grand elders, so naturally, the people they invited were all very terrifying. Among them were many great sects and even some powerhouses from top families. These people gathered together, and it was very lively among each other. However, at this moment, the sky darkened. There was an extremely terrifying force pressing down on the ground below. Everyone felt terrified. The sage kings rose into the sky with shocked expressions. What was going on? Even the great sage's eyes burst out with divine light that pierced through heaven and earth. The 7,000-year-old Grand Elder of the Temple of Immortals shouted angrily, "Come down, there's a peerless enemy." He felt a fatal threat. Indeed, the great sage's expressions were extremely ugly. At this moment, everyone descended from the sky. They looked up at the sky and waited quietly. In the sky, there was a huge creature flying past. The people below saw it clearly. They were extremely shocked. There were 9 huge dragons in the sky. Each of them was 1,000 meters long and had ice-cold scales. Under the sun's illumination, they bloomed with brilliance. They painted a peerless divine light that pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. 9 true dragons. Were the powerhouses of the dragons here? The people below were shocked. Even the great sage were as if they were facing a great enemy. The dragons were incomparably mysterious. If there were really 9 top-notch dragons, perhaps something earth-shattering had happened. However, the Grand Elder of the Temple of Immortals frowned. Cold sweat flowed down his face. What was going on? Although the aura of these 9 true dragons was terrifying, he didn't seem to feel the existence of chi, blood, and souls. The 9 true dragons were all dead. What kind of power was that? It was supporting their flight. What was even more shocking was yet to come. They discovered that the 9 true dragons were all chained. And on the other end of the chain, it was an ancient bronze coffin with mysterious Tao patterns carved on it. The aura of the ancient coffin was even more terrifying. Just a single glance at it would cause one's soul to tremble in fear. What sort of existence was buried in that ancient coffin? The Grand Elder of the Temple of Immortals almost fell to his knees. Could it be that this was the legendary phenomenon of heaven and earth? The people from the other great sects were also shocked. Some of the older generation experts sucked in cold breaths. There were records of this in their ancient books. The 9 true dragons pulled the bronze coffin across the sky. Countless people prostrated themselves in worship. It was said that an immortal was buried inside. At that time, they thought it was just a legend and didn't pay too much attention to it. And now, such a scene had actually appeared before their eyes. Hearing the words of these older generation figures, the others directly knelt down and began to worship. An immortal had descended from the heavens. Someone muttered softly, "Even if they were all dead. Weren't they all buried?" "Shut up." A middle-aged man turned around and slapped the man's face. "Do you want to die? How dare you disrespect an immortal?" The young man was so scared that his scalp went numb. He immediately knelt on the ground. "Elder, please calm down. I won't dare to do it again." Everyone was watching. No one dared to be presumptuous. They watched quietly as the 9 true dragons and the bronze coffin streaked across the sky. Then, they flew towards a distant corner. Was he about to land? He was nearby. Countless people were shocked. Could it be that an immortal opportunity was about to descend in their area? These people were all excited. If they could obtain it, wouldn't they be able to ascend to the immortal realm? Let's go and take a look. These people soared into the sky. Their eyes were red. The young prodigies were very fast, but they were soon left behind. The experts of the older generation and even the supreme elders were mobilized. A few great sage were the fastest. They tore through the void and flew over quickly. The others followed closely behind. This was supposed to be a birthday banquet, but now they couldn't care less. They had to see where the 9 true dragons and the ancient bronze coffin had landed. That was great. Everyone saw that the 9 true dragons were descending. If they landed, they would be able to obtain the inheritance in the ancient coffin. These people were going crazy. The 5 great sage were very fast. They passed through everything and forgot everything. There was only the ancient bronze coffin in their eyes. But all of a sudden, the great sages began to roar. The Grand Elder of the Long Life Hall looked terrified and quickly retreated. The others also fled crazily as if they had encountered the most terrifying thing. What was going on? What happened? The people behind were stunned. In the next moment, they saw something terrifying. A great sage was covered in flames. But at this moment, his flames were fast in front of him. His powerful body withered and eventually turned into a pile of white bones that fell from the sky. Grand Elder! The elders of the Fire God Shrine immediately knelt down and wept. That was their great sage. Had he fallen just like that? Everyone couldn't believe it. After the other 4 great sage returned, they retreated. In front of them was Mount Eternal. What? It was actually Mount Eternal. Countless people were terrified and quickly retreated. They had known the terror of Mount Eternal since they were young. It was a forbidden land of death that no one could enter. Especially now, a great sage had fallen in an instant. Everyone knew that. Even the great sage couldn't enter this forbidden land of death. Damn it, they had entered Mount Eternal. Those great sage elders looked at the ancient bronze coffin and landed in Mount Eternal. Their expressions became incomparably ugly. Originally, they had great hopes of obtaining the immortal opportunity. But now it seemed impossible. No one could walk in. These people's mood fell from high in the sky to hell. Originally, being able to get close to the immortal opportunity was a blessing cultivated by several lifetimes. But now, it seemed that their blessing was still a little lacking. The opportunity was right in front of them, but they couldn't get any closer. Behind them, among the younger generation, a figure stood there with his hands behind his back. Looking at this scene, his eyes flickered. His figure was very strange, as if he had merged with the void. There was actually an immortal opportunity. Gu Feng looked at this scene and frowned. He looked at the surrounding elders and said, "Hurry up and inform the family of the news." The elders nodded. They had already secretly used a formation to send back the news of what had happened here. Next to Gu Feng, there was a figure wearing a battle suit and was incomparably handsome. He looked to the side and said, "Brother Gu Feng, I wonder if we can discuss something." "Brother Su Lai, what's the matter?" "Say it," Gu Feng said with a smile. Su Lai walked out, looked in all directions and said, "Everyone." Hearing this, everyone turned their heads around. Su Lai was the #1 genius of the Long Life Hall. His strength was very terrifying. He was the future hall master of the Long Life Hall. Chapter 4677. Even the elders and grand elders of the Palace of Immortals were confused. Although Mount Eternal was terrifying, the immortal opportunity was hard to come by even in tens of thousands of years. "We can't miss it," someone said coldly. "Young man, do you know how dangerous Mount Eternal is?" The great sage in front of them had died. Yes, although the immortal opportunity was good, one had to be alive to take it. These people shook their heads. "Of course, we can't do it, but what if we use the extreme Daowu? What about Qi?" Everyone was surprised when they heard this. Some elders gasped. As for the grand elder of the Palace of Immortals, his eyes lit up. He smiled. He strode over and looked at Gu Feng. "Young Master Gu, can we use the extreme Daowu together? Let's go in together and obtain the immortal opportunity." The others also came back to their senses. Yes, they were here to celebrate the birthday this time. In addition to these great sects and families, there was another family that was very special. That was the Huanggu family. It was an emperor family, the Gu family. This time, the family that had produced a great emperor. In the family, there was the extreme Daowu, Qi the void mirror. If they used the void mirror, they could display the power of the extreme Daowu. Even if Mount Eternal was powerful, it might not be able to hurt the extreme Daowu. They might really be able to obtain the immortal opportunity. The elders of the Gu family changed their expressions. They had just sent the news, and these people were already thinking about it. Gu Feng frowned slightly and glanced at Su Lai. It seemed that this person was too meticulous to think of such a thing. It would be difficult for him to refuse now. After all, dozens of families and sects around him were staring at him, especially the 4 great sage. Their eyes were burning. If he refused, these great sage would instantly change their faces. Taking a deep breath, Gu Feng said, "Extreme Daowu." Qi was usually only used to intimidate. If you want to use the extreme Daowu, Qi would consume too much energy. This was not a problem. The Grand Elder of the Palace of Immortals waved his hand. "How many resources do you need? We'll take them out together." That's right, the Fire God Palace also stepped forward. His eyes were red. Their great sage had already fallen, so they had to reap some benefits. Otherwise, their losses would be too heavy. The other experts also expressed their willingness to join in. Gong resources. Together, they would open the void mirror to take a look at the immortal fate. What? Could it be that young Master Gu Feng was unwilling? Or could it be that the Gu clan wanted to secretly use the void mirror to monopolize the celestial opportunity? Someone said coldly. The expressions of the Gu family members changed, and Gu Feng's eyes flickered. Who were they? She dared to sow discord. However, this voice was incomparably ethereal. No one knew who it was. The other people's eyes darkened with a trace of coldness. The expressions of the Gu clan's people turned ugly as they secretly transmitted messages to each other. It seemed like it was impossible for them to monopolize it. Gu Feng also gritted his teeth. Then he transmitted his voice. Forget it, let's join forces. In any case, the imperial weapon belongs to our clan. Even if we do have the immortal fate in the end, we will still be able to use it. We also have an absolute advantage. That was indeed the case. If they had it, then they had it. They had absolute control. In fact, this is what I wanted to say, but Brother Su Lai said it in advance. Gu Feng smiled. We do indeed have such thoughts. Everyone can work together to open up the immortal opportunity. Really? That's great. The surrounding experts all laughed. The four great sage were also extremely excited, especially the supreme elder of the Longevity Hall. He was already very old. To be honest, his lifespan was less than 200 years. It might even be less than 100 years. He would die soon. So no matter what, he had to obtain the final opportunity. That was indeed the case. Only the secret technique of the Longevity Hall could allow him to live for so long. The other great sage would not be able to live for so long at all. Unless there was a heaven-defying spiritual medicine. But even so, no one could escape from the reincarnation of the heavenly Tao. Unless one could become an immortal. Everyone, let's return to the Longevity Hall and make a good plan. The supreme elder of the Longevity Hall suggested. The others nodded. They went back again, but this time, it was not for the birthday banquet. It was for the immortal opportunity. After returning, these people began to take action. The various sects took out a lot of resources. Let's gather together. Then, they returned together to the Gu clan to activate the void mirror. As a great sage clan, the Gu clan had produced a great sage. The void great sage cultivated spatial magic, which was extremely terrifying. On this day, the people of the Gu clan were also extremely solemn. They were finally going to use the extreme Dao Wu. Did it work? And it wasn't even a passive defense. They were going to use the extreme Dao Wu. They were going to attack aggressively. The three great sage of the Gu clan walked out as the host. Around them stood the great sage of the other clans. The resources they brought were all placed in the array formation. The array formation flickered with light, and a terrifying aura spread out. At this moment, everyone felt their scalps go numb. Even the great sage was extremely shocked. A mirror rose into the air and flickered in the sky. In front of this mirror, everyone felt insignificant, as if they were ants. Was this the void mirror? In the Longevity Hall, the great sage and the supreme elder of the Fire God Palace were shocked. It was too powerful. This was the foundation of a great sage clan. Extreme Dao Wu. The recovery of Qi had the power of the extreme Dao, which was equivalent to the power of a great sage. This power should be enough. A great sage of the Gu clan said, if they continued to increase their power, they might not be able to control it. Alright, then let's get ready to go to Mount Eternal. Everyone rose into the air. Many people had already gathered at Mount Eternal. They were all from the great sects and the clan of the ancients. These were the elders and the younger generation. They were all gathered here. It's here, someone said. Countless people looked up and saw a terrifying light in the sky. Everyone bowed down in worship. This was the aura of the extreme Tao. It was extremely powerful. They couldn't bear it. Fortunately, this aura wasn't targeted at them. The people of the Gu clan came to the sky and took a deep breath. They activated the void mirror and lowered an aura. With a crack, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Everyone knelt on the ground. And in front of Mount Eternal, A crack was torn in the void. Everyone was shocked. It was too terrifying. This was the extreme Dao Wu, the power of Qi. A great sage would be turned into a skeleton in an instant. There was no way to escape. But now, in the extreme Dao Wu, in front of Qi, it seemed that they couldn't resist. That was great. The great sage of the other sects beside the Gu clan were overjoyed. The supreme elder of the Longevity Hall was wearing the Longevity battle armor. This time, he went in with boundless hope. He even wore the Chuan armor. He had even donned the Longevity battle armor, a holy artifact. On the other side, a supreme elder of the Fire God Palace. He wore a cloak and was also wearing the Chuan armor. It was the Fire God cloak. The group set off in a mighty manner. The void mirror in front of them tore open the void with one strike. Everyone walked in. Their hearts were extremely nervous. After entering Mount Eternal, they felt an extremely terrifying aura coming towards them. Chapter 4678. Fortunately, the void mirror was fixed in the void. It unleashed its extreme danger and blocked the attack. That was great. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. In addition to these great gods, there were also a few peak elders. All of them had the potential to become great sages. There were also some young geniuses who had hopes of becoming great sage. Therefore, these people were also brought in. Among them was Su Lai from the Palace of Immortals, Gu Feng from the Gu family, Hualing from the Fire God Palace, and a few other geniuses. There were about a dozen of them. As for the other elders and young disciples, they stayed outside Mount Eternal. Countless light screens appeared in front of them. It was a shield of light formed by spell formations, and all of the great sages had spell formations attached to them. They were able to deduce what they were seeing. This way, the people outside could see the scene inside without going in. It could be said that this was a very precious experience. These people stared at the light screens in front of them without blinking. After entering Mount Eternal, everyone was very careful. Although they had extreme Dao Wu, they still didn't dare to be careless. This was because they discovered that there were many terrifying Dao inscriptions in Mount Eternal. These great Daos were much more terrifying than what they, the great sage, had mastered. They might even have been left behind by the great emperor. Perhaps this was the reason why it was a forbidden land of death. In front of them, the great sage of the Gu family, Gu Fei, said coldly. Fortunately, the place where the bronze coffin landed wasn't too far away. If it was in the depths of Mount Eternal, I'm afraid that we might not be able to enter even with emperor weapons. Indeed, they could already see the figure of the nine-headed true dragon. It wouldn't take long for them to arrive. Finally, they came to the front and saw the nine-headed true dragon, as well as the terrifying bronze coffin. These people's eyes flickered. The other great sage of the Gu family waved his hand and cast a spatial magic. It formed a spatial rift that enveloped the true dragon. They could naturally see that the nine-headed true dragon was incomparably mysterious. Obviously, its entire body was a treasure. If they could take it away, it would be an endless treasure. The rift could devour everything. However, it lost its effect on the nine-headed true dragon. The crack landed on the true dragon's body and shattered it. The surrounding void turned into chaos. How could this be? The great sage of the Gu family frowned. Gu Fei said in a low voice, "Don't be too greedy. Let's start with a true dragon." With their strength, it was impossible for them to take everything away. With that, the great sage nodded and focused on attacking a true dragon. In addition, the Longevity Hall, Fire God Palace, and the other great sage also made their moves. There were 9 of them here, which was more than enough for everyone. However, they soon despaired. No matter what divine abilities or great Dao they used, it was impossible to shake it in the slightest. The Supreme Elder of the Eternal Life Hall looked into the sky and grabbed the true dragon's body, intending to take it away. However, he found that he didn't move at all. It was as if the power of a true dragon had surpassed his limits. Cracks had appeared on his palm. Helpless, he could only let go. The others also retracted their divine power laws, their expressions turning ugly. Even if they came here, There was nothing they could do. From the looks of it, he had to use his extreme Dao Wu. The Supreme Elder of the Eternal Life Hall looked forward. Gu Fei formed a seal with his palm, and the void mirror hung down. His aura turned into chains and wrapped around a true dragon. An extremely terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the true dragon's body and spread to the surroundings. At the same time, Mount Eternal released an indestructible power and charged over. The void mirror shook, and a terrifying aura spread. The surrounding great sage felt their hair stand on end. Damn it, what's going on? Give me your power. Gu Fei's expression changed drastically. This power was too terrifying, and the surrounding people didn't dare to be careless. They attacked with all their might. They gave all their power to the void mirror. The void mirror bloomed with radiance and an extreme aura. The terrifying mirror swept through everything. Only then did it block the indestructible Tao. The great sage of the Fire God Palace said, "Don't think about the true dragon. Attack the ancient coffin with all your might." Opening the ancient coffin, there must be something incredible inside. It might be an immortal. These people's eyes flickered, and they shifted their gaze from the true dragon to the ancient bronze coffin. Gu Fei said, "Okay." In the next moment, everyone attacked together. The void mirror bloomed with radiance and an extreme aura. They charged towards the ancient bronze coffin. With a clang, the 9 heavens and 10 lands shattered. The people outside Mount Eternal all prostrated themselves on the ground. What kind of scene was that? It was as if the god of thunder had descended to the world. Mount Eternal also underwent some changes as a terrifying aura emanated from it. There was even a low roar that made people's hair stand on end. The great sage's expressions changed. Damn it, what kind of secret was inside? They didn't know. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the surroundings darkened, and they couldn't see their own fingers. There was a terrifying aura. It surged towards them. With a whoosh, everyone's blood boiled. Not good, someone was attacking. Who was it? The void bloomed with radiance. Qi swept across. The entire Mount Eternal had turned completely dark. Everyone could only vaguely see a black shadow attacking them. And there was more than one. They were attacking from all directions. Not good, everyone was terrified. Gu Fei also frowned. They didn't have many resources left, so they couldn't control the void mirror for a long time. Therefore, they used their full strength to attack the ancient bronze coffin. At the extreme aura, under the attack of Qi, the ancient bronze coffin shook violently. However, it didn't break. Moreover, Gu Fei couldn't attack anymore. The surrounding black shadows were very terrifying and posed a danger to them. He could only use the void mirror to defend. When Gu Feng saw this scene, he said, "Ancestor, not good, there's not much energy left." Gu Fei gritted his teeth and retreated. The others were unwilling, but what could they do? Not to mention the ancient bronze coffin, even the black fog was incomparably terrifying. If they stayed here and ran out of energy, they would definitely die. Take advantage of the extreme aura now. Qi still had power, so they quickly retreated. These people rode the void mirror and quickly left. They tore open the void. The people outside were stupefied, their faces filled with shock. Qi couldn't even do it? They could only protect themselves. After those people outside came out, they also heaved a sigh of relief. The black fog in front of them gradually disappeared, and Mount Eternal regained its tranquility. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. The scene just now was like a dream. The great sage's expressions were incomparably ugly. They all returned to the Gu family to discuss the price. A great sage from the Gu family said, "It seemed that the extreme aura, the power of Qi could indeed block Mount Eternal. It's just that we seem to be using the wrong method." Su Lai also said, "Seniors, I have an idea." As he spoke, everyone turned to look at him. Chapter 4679. Su Lai took a deep breath. Legend. The person buried in the ancient bronze temple might be an immortal, an existence that transcended everything. Isn't it disrespectful for us to attack directly? I think it might be an immortal punishing us. Then what can you do? Gu Feng frowned. Su Lai said, "It seems that we have to offer a sacrifice first to express our respect. We opened the ancient bronze coffin just to see the elegance of an immortal." "Yes, that's right." Another great sage nodded. "Go, prepare the best sacrifice for me." Gu Fei also stood up and said, "I hope that everyone can also raise their strength again." Gong's strength. The last time had already been used up. Those great sages' expressions were ugly, but they still nodded. "Okay, no problem. We'll prepare now." Everyone went back and mobilized all their strength to prepare. It was either to collect resources or to collect sacrifices. They were going to enter Mount Eternal again. In the darkness, Lin Xian opened his eyes. His soul felt like it was about to split apart. In the next moment, he felt a powerful force enveloping him. He was shocked. What was going on? What happened? Where was this place? Many questions appeared in his mind. He slowly calmed down and began to observe. His surroundings were pitch black. He couldn't tell where he was. Suddenly, he remembered that he was placed in the ancient bronze coffin by Black Mountain. He found a terrifying black jar, and then his soul. It was swallowed by the black jar. Now, he had already fallen. Was he in the underworld? No, he shouldn't have fallen yet. Lin Xian could feel that his soul was still there, and it was much stronger than before. This was simply unimaginable. Now, even a late-stage holy king couldn't compare to his soul. What was going on? It was definitely not so terrifying before. Could it be because of that black jar? Lin Xian remembered that after his soul was swallowed, it was crushed. Then, it healed and was crushed again. Perhaps this was the effect of thousands of tempering. Why did he wake up? Logically speaking, he had already fallen into a cycle. He carefully recalled that the ancient bronze coffin seemed to be shaking violently. Was someone opening the ancient bronze coffin? Forget it, he had to think of a way to return to his body. His soul began to spread in all directions, and in the next moment, he felt that his surroundings were no longer so dark, and he could move. In fact, he even saw a body lying there. What's going on? Wasn't this his physique? He could see it. Did he come out? No, he was still in the black jar. He saw it through the jar. Could it be that this jar had already been recognized and was under his control? Thinking of this, Lin Xian was overjoyed. This black jar was incomparably mysterious. Perhaps this was the opportunity that Black Mountain was talking about. He had also paid a huge price to obtain it. However, it was not easy for him to leave the black jar. He felt that his current strength was not enough. It seemed that he had to think of another way. Lin Xian wasn't in a hurry. Now that his soul had been greatly improved, he was very happy. In his opinion, there would always be a way. It was better to wait patiently for now. In fact, it was the former extreme Dao Wu. Qi's attack awakened Lin Xian from his deep sleep. The people of the Gu family, Longevity Hall, and Fire God Palace gathered again. In order to find offerings and resources, they had gone crazy. Finally, they found them as fast as they could and were ready to strike again. At this moment, countless experts of the great sage had gathered outside Mount Eternal. These people were similar to before, but they were more prepared this time. They had to go in. Gu Fei took a deep breath, and the other great sage nodded solemnly. The void mirror rose into the air, broke through the void, and flew forward. Soon, the crowd arrived in front of the ancient bronze coffin. This time, with their previous experience, they did not act rashly. Instead, they were careful. Gu Fei stood in the void and said coldly as he took out the offerings. The people around him took out their storage rings and took out many things. There were ancient altars, jade tables, stone stools, and many other offerings. These were all extremely precious treasures of heaven and earth. They were spiritual springs that were condensed from the 9 heavens. In Mount Gale, there were spiritual herbs that were tens of thousands of years old and various rare treasures. They were all taken out at this moment. In their opinion, these things would not disappear, so they took out the best. It showed their sincerity. Perhaps the immortals would not attack them. In the ancient bronze coffin, Lin Xian opened his eyes again. What a terrifying power! He felt a strong sense of danger. They had already entered the ancient bronze coffin. What was it? This time, he used the black jar to reach out his soul and look outside. Finally, he saw it clearly. There were so many people. And there was more than one great sage. What was going on? Were they from the Z Mansion and the clan of the ancients? His expression was ugly. Damn it, the great sage of these clans had returned. Were they going to attack him? If that was the case, then he was in danger. He wondered how Black Mountain was doing. But soon he realized that it was not the case. They were not from the Z Mansion, the Feng clan, or the Golden Crow clan, but some other people. These people were also extremely terrifying. Who were they? He looked carefully. Then he was extremely shocked. He saw a familiar figure in the crowd behind him. Gu Feng. The other party was also here. Then, the people in front of him should be from the Gu clan. Those who were with the Jia family were either the great sects or the aristocratic families of the remote antiquity. What were these people here for? This was especially true of the mirror above them, which caused him to feel apprehensive. This definitely surpassed all the Wu. Could it be the Gu clan's extreme Dao Wu? Lin Xian was stunned. These people would not want to use the extreme Dao Wu. Qi to attack him? His face was about to turn green. But soon he was stunned because he found that the people outside had set up sacrifices. Then, they respectfully began to worship the bronze coffin. An old man clad in battle armor walked out and spoke in a clear voice. A supreme existence that was in deep slumber. Please forgive us for being rude. We don't want to disturb you, but we really want to see you. Immortal Roan. Supreme Immortal, please forgive us for our recklessness. After saying that, they began to kowtow 3 times and kowtow 9 times. Heavens, what was going on? These people were kowtowing to him? Lin Xian was surprised. Soon he understood. These people must have thought that there was a group of immortals buried in the ancient bronze coffin. That was why they were so respectful. He was also shocked. What was buried in the ancient bronze coffin in the past? One had to know that the people outside were not fools. They were the most terrifying group of people. These people must know some ancient secrets, which was why they were so respectful. It seemed that the ancient coffin was indeed not simple. The heavenly court also had endless secrets. Chapter 4680. However, that wasn't what he needed to focus on now. What he needed to focus on was the offerings in front of him. Those were all top-notch heavenly treasures. The old herbs among them were not inferior to the ones he had risked his life to snatch. Lin Xian felt that he had to think of a way to get these things. Firstly, it would be a waste if he didn't take what these people had offered. Here, he needed these powers very much now. But how to get them was still a problem. At this moment, the black jar shook. Lin Xian was surprised. What was the use of this thing? Now that he had gained the recognition of the black jar, he could use it. His soul power quickly spread out, and the black jar emitted a black light. In the next moment, a vortex appeared. Outside the ancient bronze coffin. Some of the great sage kowtowed 3 times and 9 times in an extremely respectful manner. But at this moment, a vortex suddenly appeared in front of them and sucked in the offerings they had placed. All of them were swallowed. What was going on? These great sage raised their heads in shock. Someone shouted angrily, "Do you want to die? Who dares to steal our things? Shut up." The Grand Elder of the Immortal Hall snorted coldly. Can't you see that that thing has entered the ancient bronze coffin in front of us? That's because the immortals are using our offerings. We have been recognized by the immortals. After saying that, he knelt on the ground even more respectfully. The others were also shocked and investigated one after another. As expected, the vortex swallowed the offerings and floated into the ancient bronze coffin. Everyone gasped. The great sage of the Gu family's eyelids twitched wildly. Could it be that there was really an immortal buried inside? Thinking of this, they also prostrated on the ground and shouted respectfully. Immortals above, please protect us. Inside the ancient coffin, many heavenly treasures appeared in front of Lin Xian. Each of them was a heaven-defying existence. Any one of them would make the great sage jealous. Lin Xian was stunned. This was the credit of the black jar. It was too unbelievable. This thing seemed to be able to devour everything. Very well, he began to use it. He brought the spiritual spring formed by the stars of the 9 heavens into the jar. His soul began to return with the power of the spirit spring. When his soul left the black jar and entered his body, Lin Xian couldn't help but want to howl. I'm finally back. It hasn't been easy. He had also used up all of the spiritual spring water. Lin Xian didn't mind. With a wave of his hand, he collected all the treasures. He consumed it himself and gave it to the great dragon sword spirit. If these things were taken out and discovered by the great sage, they would definitely want them back. It was better to consume it first. These things were all unique treasures of heaven and earth. Lin Xian's physique and great dragon sword spirit consumed a lot of energy. Golden Crow Hao, Wind Phoenix, and the others had broken through, but Leaf Dao Denier and Light hadn't. It could be seen. The ancient barren body was indeed terrifying. Lin Xian's divine body was no weaker than a sacred body, and with the addition of the great dragon sword soul he needed even more power. After swallowing these treasures, Lin Xian felt the power in his body surging. He felt as if he was about to break through. It was possible that he was about to break through to the middle stage of the Holy King realm. Lin Xian suppressed his breakthrough. He knew that he was still shrouded by the heavenly punishment. In ordinary places, breaking through would be attacked by the heavenly punishment. He had to find a place where the great emperor existed. Let's think about how to leave the ancient coffin first. Lin Xian opened the sky with his palms. He hit the ancient coffin. He found that with his strength, it was difficult to open it. At this moment, the black jar flew over and floated. Lin Xian thought that it should be possible to use this thing. He poured his power into the jar. The black jar emitted a black light and created a black vortex. The ancient bronze coffin shook and opened. Outside, those people knelt respectfully. After waiting for a while, they found that nothing had happened. They were all stunned. Was there an immortal inside? Just as they were wondering, the ancient bronze coffin in front of them let out a loud bang. Everyone raised their heads and found that the ancient bronze coffin was slowly opening. A figure sat up. There was really someone. These people became excited again and looked carefully. So young. Was this an immortal? They saw a young man sitting up. Then he stood up from inside. He looked around curiously. Greetings to the exalted immortal. These people began to kneel. Lin Xian looked around and felt a terrifying aura. He was shocked. What was this place? Why did it have such a terrifying aura? When he saw that even the great sage before him was kneeling before her, his eyelids twitched. Did these guys think that he was an immortal? This was good too. He didn't have to explain. If the other party knew that he was just an ordinary lesser sage king, she would probably capture him. She would immediately conduct research. When that time came, her secret would be exposed. Are you living beings from the lower realm? Lin Xian asked indifferently. A hint of cold arrogance appeared in his eyes, as if he didn't put the common people in his eyes. Living beings from the lower realm? These great sage were shocked. Was he talking about them? Perhaps in the eyes of the exalted immortal, they, the great sage, were similar to ants. They hurriedly said, "That's right, we are the native living beings of this world. The exalted immortal has descended. We came to pay our respects just to take a look at your immortal appearance. Raise your heads." Lin Xian said indifferently, "Thank you, exalted immortal." The great sage below was as excited as a child. They all raised their heads and carefully visualized. Gu Feng also raised his head. He wanted to see what the legendary immortal looked like. But in the next moment his eyes almost fell out. Damn, how could it be him? He jumped up. What was going on? The others looked around and frowned. This Gu Feng was too bold, wasn't he? How dare he be disrespectful to the exalted immortal? The great sage of the Gu family also frowned. Feng, or couldn't be rude and quickly knelt. Gu Feng almost coughed up blood. Kneeling to the other party? What a joke. But the current situation was that those great sage were all kneeling. And he had also knelt to the other party previously. It made him furious. He said, "Ancestor, he's not an exalted immortal at all. His name is Lin Xian. He's just an ordinary genius. What? The people of the Gu family were stunned. The other great sage were also in an uproar. Gu Feng knew this person? Gu Feng said, "That's right. He's Lin Xian from the buried Emperor Star. He's not an exalted immortal at all." The faces of those great sage instantly darkened. Did they just kneel to a young junior? What a joke! Cold killing intent appeared in the eyes of the few great sage of the Gu family. They had to tear the other party into pieces. How dare he lie to us? Lin Xian also frowned. This Gu Feng was really a bad person. He sneered and said indifferently, "It seems that you ants from the lower realm. You're really tired of living." He looked at Gu Feng and said coldly, "You said that I'm an ordinary person? Are you sure that an ordinary person can come out of here?" Gu Feng snorted. "Kid, stop pretending. If you're really an exalted immortal, then take out your exalted immortal technique." The others also looked up. Yes, exalted immortals should be far stronger than them. Chapter 4681. I came to the lower realm and suffered some injuries. I haven't recovered yet. Are you doubting me? If you're not convinced, come forward and fight. The faces of the surrounding great sages flickered. Although they were shocked by the level of Yang Qi's cultivation base and power, they were still shocked. They had their doubts. But they couldn't go forward. They could stand here now because of the void mirror. If they left the void mirror, they would definitely die. And even if they had the void mirror, they wouldn't be able to reach the ancient bronze coffin. Because they had tried before and there was a powerful force blocking them. But the other party could stand there now. This meant that the other party definitely had a strange energy that surpassed them. The Grand Elder of the Hall of Immortals said, "This was an immortal, but he was injured previously. Besides, immortals came from the immortal world, and there were also young people in the immortal world. You don't know anything, so don't talk nonsense. If you angered an immortal, be careful of his power." That's right. The elder of the Fire God Palace also nodded and paid his respects to the immortal. "I beg you to give me the way to live forever." The other great sage also knelt down. Seeing that some people really knelt down, Lin Xian was shocked. These people were really greedy. They wanted to prolong their lives. And there was one more thing. He knew that it was because his appearance was too strange. Who would have thought that he could walk out of such a mysterious ancient bronze coffin? So it wasn't impossible to scare these great sage. Gu Feng still didn't believe it. He gritted his teeth and said, "If you're an immortal, you should walk out. Walk around Mount Eternal and I'll believe you." The eyes of the great sage of the Gu family also shone with a piercing cold light. They wanted to see this immortal. Did he really have the strength? "Immortal, please use your immortal technique and let us see." The Grand Elder of the Hall of Immortals said excitedly. The others also turned their gazes over. Lin Xian frowned. Was Mount Eternal very magical? He had never heard of it. "All right, then I'll let you see." As he spoke, he took a step forward, left the ancient bronze coffin, and walked forward. Everyone's hearts became nervous. Even Gu Feng clenched his fists. "Kid, keep pretending. Even the great sage doesn't dare to enter Mount Eternal. You don't have the protection of the void mirror. If he went out, he would definitely die." Although Lin Xian didn't know what kind of place Mount Eternal was, he could sense the terrifying aura here. He could sense it. Therefore, he did not dare to be careless. When he came out, he brought the black jar with him. He felt that this black jar was very magical. Perhaps it could have an unexpected effect. Sure enough, the black jar exuded a mysterious aura, as if it had swallowed the indestructible Tao around it. Gu Fei went up, slapped the void beast unconscious, and handed it over respectfully. Lin Xian took it and threw it into the beast bag. He instantly sealed it. He had seen this void beast before. He had even cut off its tail. It was made into a void beast skin. He didn't expect it to fall into Gu Feng's hands in the end. Now it was in his hands again. "By the way, where was this place?" Lin Xian asked. The Grand Elder of the Hall of Immortals said, "This is Mount Eternal." They quickly explained the origin of Mount Eternal. Lin Xian was also surprised after hearing this. It turned out to be a land of death. It seemed that it was at least at the great emperor level. Perhaps he could break through here. He said, "Wait for me outside first." No one dared to resist. They could only retreat and go outside Mount Eternal. The people outside were also stunned. Did an immortal really appear? It was unbelievable. The great sage warned the young disciples that they must be respectful and must not challenge the other party. After Gu Feng came out, he directly flew away. He didn't want to stay here any longer. Otherwise, who knew how that guy would torture him? After those people left, Lin Xian walked into Mount Eternal again. He began to transcend the tribulation. He no longer suppressed his power. Soon, thunder condensed in the sky. At the same time, terrifying red thunder filled the air outside Mount Eternal. When the great sage outside saw this, he was extremely shocked. Was this heavenly punishment? Could it be that he was really an immortal? Perhaps his bloodline had surpassed this world and the heavenly Tao could not tolerate it. Everyone was worried. However, not long after, he didn't realize that the heavenly punishment had disappeared. Only ordinary thunder descended. This made everyone even more shocked. The Grand Elder of the Hall of Immortals said, "As expected of an immortal, he really had methods." Chapter 4682. The rest of the people were also convinced of this. Fortunately, Gu Feng had left in advance. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood. Damn it, what kind of evil method did that kid use? Why was it so strange? Lin Xian didn't know that the appearance and disappearance of Tianfa made the great sage outside more convinced. They were even more convinced that he was an immortal. At this moment, he was trying his best to transcend the tribulation. Half a month later, he finally succeeded in walking out. His aura was much stronger than before. He was now a mid-stage holy king. His strength had undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. The current late-stage holy kings were no match for him at all. Lin Xian could compete with a peak holy king. With his many trump cards, it wouldn't be a problem to kill a peak holy king. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth curled up. He was really looking forward to his next breakthrough. Lin Xian guessed that the next time he broke through, he would probably be able to compete with the great sage. After Lin Xian came out, the great sage outside were still waiting respectfully. After seeing Lin Xian, their eyes lit up and they all walked up. "Exalted Immortal, you're here. Exalted Immortal, please come to my longevity palace. I'll definitely treat you well. Let's go to the Fire God Palace first." These people spoke one after another. The people of the Gu family also walked over and said, "We're a clan of the ancients. We'll definitely satisfy the Exalted Immortal." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. "Everyone, don't worry. The immortal opportunity you want will be given to you." However, he didn't go because there was an imperial weapon there. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he wasn't an extreme Dao Wu. If his identity was really exposed, he wouldn't be able to escape at all. So after thinking about it, he went to the Longevity Palace. Firstly, the Longevity Palace didn't have an extreme Dao Wu. Moreover, there was also a Supreme Elder. He didn't have much lifespan left. He could use the other party's heart to make the other party trust him more. Moreover, Lin Xian didn't plan to stay here for too long. He still had to return to Taiqing Ancient City. After all, there were many peerless sects and clans of the ancients who wanted to kill him. There were some things that needed to be resolved. Lin Xian followed the Supreme Elder back to the Longevity Hall. The Supreme Elder was overjoyed. He was so excited that he almost fainted. He returned to the Longevity Hall. After that, the people from the Longevity Hall were also extremely shocked. They used the highest standard to welcome Lin Xian. The other remote antiquity families and peerless sects were also envious. They sent out their young disciples to pay their respects. If they could become friends, it would be a great opportunity. Therefore, they issued an order, regardless of the cost. They had to stay by each other's side. No matter what the other party wanted, he had to satisfy them. After returning to the Longevity Hall, Lin Xian went into seclusion without meeting anyone. He first stabilized his cultivation base, then entered the great sage pagoda, and began to suppress the void beast. The void beast was also extremely powerful. It had reached the late stage of the Saint King realm and was about to reach the peak of the Saint King realm. Before, Lin Xian had been unable to suppress such a demonic beast. But this time, after using the black jar, his soul power had greatly increased. Therefore, he could completely control it himself. The other party had planted the seal of life and death in the other party's soul. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. With this void beast, it was equivalent to having an array formation by his side. He could teleport and hide in the void at any time. Exalted Immortal, did you have a good rest? An old voice came from outside. Needless to say, it was the Supreme Elder. Lin Xian frowned slightly. He had to think of a way to make this old guy cultivate in seclusion. He waved his hand and opened the door. The other party walked in respectfully and presented some spiritual fruits and spiritual herbs. Lin Xian accepted them without hesitation. Then he said, "Go and cultivate again. If your cultivation base can improve by another level, I will teach you immortal methods." Really? That's great. Thank you, Exalted Immortal. The Supreme Elder was extremely happy. Then Lin Xian said, "There's no need to let those old guys come. I have nothing in common with them. Let some young people come." "Yes, Exalted Immortal, I understand." The Supreme Elder went back. He quickly found a group of young people from the Longevity Hall. Among them, Su Lai quickly rushed over. These young people were extremely excited. This was an immortal. If they were lucky, they could obtain an immortal opportunity. At the same time, the Fire God Palace, the Gu family, and other sects all sent people over. They were all young geniuses. Many of them were peerless fairies. It seemed that they planned to stay by Lin Xian's side. Facing these fairies, Lin Xian was very calm, which made people even more shocked. As expected of an exalted immortal, he didn't care about the creatures of the lower realm. "Hello, Exalted Immortal, my name is Su Lai. If you have any instructions, just tell me directly." The tall man stood there and smiled. At this moment, another person also walked over. "Exalted Immortal, I'm from the Fire God Palace. My name is Hua Ling." This was a peerlessly beautiful woman. Her every move would attract the attention of everyone. Lin Xian nodded and looked at another person. That person said, "Exalted Immortal, I'm from the Gu family. My name is Gu Li." In addition, there were a few top geniuses who introduced themselves. Lin Xian didn't pay attention to the next people. They were definitely not the top geniuses. However, he let them follow him. Lin Xian was very calm. After staying in the Longevity Hall for a while, he went to the Fire God Palace. He also went to other places. The only place he didn't go was the Gu family. They were extremely powerful. He wouldn't go to a family that was suppressed by qi. The Gu family thought that Gu Feng had offended the other party, so they hurriedly sent over a lot of natural treasures. At the same time, they punished Gu Feng and even made him face the wall to reflect on his mistakes. In a cliff, Gu Feng stood there, unable to go out. He gritted his teeth and roared at the sky. Damn brat. He really couldn't understand. The other party was clearly from the buried Emperor's star like him. How did he become an exalted immortal? Damn it, it was all because of the ancient bronze coffin. How did the other party hide in the ancient bronze coffin? He really couldn't understand. Lin Xian was quite satisfied with his life here. Not only did he have enough resources, but Lin Xian was also able to see the top cultivation techniques of these sections. For example, the Longevity Hall had a cultivation technique called the Longevity Technique. Lin Xian found that it was very similar to the Longevity Technique. Could it be that the art of longevity was from the Hall of Longevity? Lin Xian was surprised and went to ask some people from the Longevity Hall. Of course, he was beating around the bush. In the end, he found that it might really be from the Longevity Hall. However, it wasn't from the modern era. It might be a cultivation technique from the Longevity Hall from the ancient era. It was later lost. The other cultivation techniques were passed down, but the longevity technique was in Lin Xian's hands. After Lin Xian finished reading the Longevity Hall's ultimate techniques, He had a deeper understanding of the longevity technique. At the same time, he also understood that the greatest advantage of the longevity hall was their powerful recovery ability. At the same time, their lifespan was longer than others. This was also a huge advantage. Chapter 4683. The Fire God Palace had a technique called the Fire God's Thunderclap Palm. Lin Xian was very interested in it and studied it for a while. As for the Gu family, they didn't give him any techniques or inheritance, only some spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits. He also knew that the inheritance of the great emperor's family would never be passed to outsiders. The Purple Mansion had never given up on finding the true dragon and the ancient bronze coffin. They wouldn't allow the heavenly court to reopen. They had been secretly sending people to investigate. Finally, they received some news that something seemed to have happened at Mount Eternal. Therefore, they sent people to investigate. In the sky, a spirit boat flew quickly. A few figures walked out from inside. The one in the lead was an old man who swept his gaze across the area. He looked at Mount Eternal in the distance, his eyes shining. He was going to visit the surrounding sects and ask about it. He really found a problem. Did an immortal appear? How was that possible? The people from the Purple Mansion were shocked. They decided to see who this immortal was. One had to know that the Purple Mansion had always been known to have an immortal fate. How could they not be shocked when an immortal appeared? Finally, he came to the Longevity Hall and asked for an audience. "I'm here to see an immortal." Those people were also surprised when they learned that the other party was from the Purple Mansion. Naturally, they had heard of this ancient sect. They also learned that it had recently reopened. They didn't expect that an expert from the Purple Mansion would come here. The people from the Longevity Hall respectfully invited him in. The people from the Z government were very arrogant. The leader was an old man. Even in front of the people from the Longevity Hall, he was high and mighty. The Longevity Hall was a great sect, and the Purple Mansion was above the great sects in the past. Therefore, they had always been arrogant. After arriving, he said, "I want to see that immortal." His words didn't seem to have much respect for his ancestors. Soon, he was invited to a mountain peak and saw a group of young people. They were surrounding a man. It was very lively. The people from the Purple Mansion walked up and said, they heard that an immortal had come from Mount Eternal. Who was it? The people in front of them all turned their heads to look and frowned. Who was this guy? Why was he so arrogant? If he wanted to see an immortal, he had to kneel on the ground for 3 days and 3 nights. Let's see if our immortal has time. The old man from the Purple Mansion frowned. Was this a joke? Were there really immortals in this world? To be honest, although they claimed to have immortal fate, they were still very doubtful. Are there immortals? Even if there was, it couldn't be someone from Mount Eternal. Therefore, they did not believe this immortal at all. Didn't you hear what I said? The elder of the Purple Mansion coldly snorted. How dare you? Huolinger from the Fire God Palace snorted. Who do you think you are? How dare you make a fuss here? Get out. The faces of the people from the Z government became extremely ugly. It had always been others who respected them. Since when had anyone dared to berate them? We're from the Violet Palace. A young man walked out and said coldly, Purple Mansion. Huoling and the others all frowned. They had naturally heard of this before. Who would have thought that it would be the other party? At that moment, an indifferent voice came from the front. So what if he was in the Purple Palace realm? You dare to be disrespectful to this immortal? He was courting death. The exalted immortal has spoken. Hurry up and scram. Su Lai took a step forward. This is the territory of the Longevity Hall, not a place where the Purple Mansion can behave atrociously. The young man was so angry that he vomited blood. However, the old man stopped him. He then said, We're not here to cause trouble. We're really here to see an immortal. Perhaps we were disrespectful before, but now we're respectfully asking to see an immortal. That's more like it. Su Lai snorted coldly and then said, Come over. He waved his hand. The people from the Purple Mansion all walked over. They were filled with endless curiosity. In the next moment, they saw a man sitting in front of them. Countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures surrounded him. At this moment, the man's body was blooming with multicolored light. It was obvious that he had consumed too many heavenly materials and earthly treasures. The energy had not been completely dissolved. How extravagant! When the people from the Purple Mansion saw this scene, their eyelids twitched violently. Even if they had an ancient inheritance, they did not receive such treatment. When they saw the man's real face, they were stunned. An elder jumped up. "Damn brat! It's you! How can you be an immortal?" He was really shocked. They had come here to look for him, even though they had never seen him before. They had not seen him before, but they had seen his portrait countless times. At this moment, after seeing him, they instantly recognized him. Damn it, he's just an ordinary sage king. When did he become an immortal? Lin Xian looked at the other party and sneered. He was disrespectful to me. Who killed him? I'll teach him immortal techniques in the future. After hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding people turned red. Su Lai took a step forward and said, "Exalted immortal, I'll kill him." A great longevity palm slapped forward, bringing with it an incomparably vast power. It was endless. Boom. The old man was someone from the older generation. Thus, he was able to shatter the great longevity palm with a punch. Su Lai's blood boiled. Then he roared, "How dare you behave so atrociously in my territory? Guards!" With a roar, an elder rushed over from afar. Hualing also said, "Everyone, let's attack together." Hundreds of young geniuses had gathered around them, and they were fighting one-on-one. They might not be a match for the elders. However, at this moment, how could the elder block them all together? He only brought 3 people with him. No matter how strong they were, they could not block the attacks of hundreds of young geniuses. In an instant, they roared miserably. "Damn it, how dare you attack us? The Purple Mansion sect will not let you off. How dare you threaten us? Do you believe that we can send you to hell now?" Su Lai sneered and attacked even more fiercely. Before long, the 4 people from the Purple Mansion sect were seriously injured. They were pressed to the ground. Exalted immortal, how should we deal with these people? Su Lai, Hualing, and the others all looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian walked over, sneered, and took off the storage rings of the people. Then he said, "Cripple their cultivation bases. Leave them to me. I'll deal with them properly." "Damn kid, how dare you?" The elders of the Purple Mansion sect roared. However, what happened next terrified them. Their cultivation bases were really crippled. They were in despair. Without their cultivation bases, they were no different from ants in front of Su Lai. Lin Xian waved his hand and put all of them away. He sent his soul into the 4 storage rings and threw them into the void. "Why don't you divide these things among yourselves?" The things inside were not bad, but Lin Xian did not take them seriously. Compared to the treasures he had obtained so far, they were not worth mentioning. There's an ancient divine ability in there. "Su Lai, I'll give it to you." "Really?" Su Lai's eyes lit up. "Thank you, exalted immortal." Although he did not obtain an immortal technique, he did obtain an ancient cultivation method. Chapter 4684. Sure enough, Hualing, Gu Li, and the others' eyes all turned red. Their faces were also full of anticipation. They hurriedly checked their storage rings. Then they found another unique technique. These people decided to cultivate together. They looked at Lin Xian with infinite gratitude. "Thank you, exalted immortal." At this moment, they really regarded Lin Xian as an immortal. Lin Xian merely smiled in response and did not seem to mind at all. He directly gave away the 2 unique techniques because he wanted to get them more easily. The 4 people from the Purple Mansion sect were all in his hands, and their cultivations had been destroyed. When the time came, he would directly collect their souls. What kind of divine ability couldn't he get? At night, after Lin Xian returned, he entered the Great Sage Pagoda. Looking at the 4 figures, his lips curled up into a smile. The 4 people were terrified. "Damn it, what do you want to do?" They were already in despair. The elder roared, "Kid, kill me if you have the guts." I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to die. The Purple Mansion sect tried to kill me again and again. Do you think I'll let you go so easily? Damn it, you're really that guy. The elder of the Purple Mansion sect roared. What method did you use? Lying to these people? Lin Xian snorted. You're still so curious when you're about to die. Then you can go to hell and ask. But before that, I have a few questions to ask you. The red spider lily is the totem of the Purple Mansion sect, right? How many people have you sealed with it? Hearing this, Elder Zhang's pupils constricted. Damn kid, how do you know this? Could it be that you've been sealed? You're an abandoned immortal. He roared crazily. Yes, you're right. I was indeed sealed before, so even if you don't come to find me, I won't let you go. One day, I'll personally destroy the Purple Mansion sect. The elder of the Purple Mansion sect was in despair. Damn it, he was actually an abandoned immortal. But how did he cultivate to become a Saint King? It was too unbelievable. After being sealed by the red spider lily, he would be a cripple. It was absolutely impossible for him to cultivate. Even if he could cultivate, he would at most be a Saint Venerable. It was absolutely impossible for him to break through to become a Saint King. However, the other party had actually made a breakthrough to Sage King Intermediate Stage. It was unbelievable. At the same time, he began to worry about Zifu. With such a peerless genius, once he broke through to become the Great Sage, or even a step further, the Great Sage. If that was the case, then the Purple Palace would really be destroyed. Lin Xian said indifferently, "Tell me the origin and secrets of your Zifu." Don't even think about it. The old man gritted his teeth. Lin Xian sneered. Looks like you guys don't know what's good for you. Since that's the case, I'll do it myself. Activating his heavenly secret divine eyes, his golden gaze enveloped these people. He first looked at the two young men. Soul search. The two of them quickly fell to the ground, their souls shattered. Lin Xian frowned. The two of them didn't know much. Moreover, in their minds, there were many things that they didn't know. There was a restriction. The core content was undetectable. He then attacked the remaining people. As expected, his expression turned cold. Apart from obtaining some cultivation techniques, he couldn't obtain any other secrets. However, Lin Xian didn't mind. One day, he would personally attack the Zifu Palace. When that time came, he would only know everything. He obtained 2 types of martial arts from the old man. Lin Xian didn't cultivate them because he felt that they weren't suitable for him. However, if he had them in the future, he might be able to teach them to others. Next, Lin Xian took out the black jar. He poured his soul power into it. The black jar flew up and circled around him like a fairy. Then, he summoned the void beast and patted it. The void beast unleashed a terrifying power of the void as it teleported Lin Xian away. In the next moment, they left the longevity hall and arrived outside. The vast mountain was incomparably dark. Lin Xian's eyes were burning with golden flames. It was as if he was looking at a god, sweeping through everything. A smile appeared on his face as he found it. This time, he was going to test the true power of the black jar. That was a hell demonic lion. It was extremely terrifying. Its body was covered in black lightning. Its cultivation had reached the late stage of the Great Sage King realm. With a roar, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. He looked at Lin Xian with mockery in his eyes. Stupid ant. You think you can challenge me, a saint? Go to hell. The black claws slapped down with 10,000 bolts of thunder, destroying everything. Lin Xian stood there and didn't make a move. He waved his hand and the black jar rushed forward. You're just a broken jar, and you dare to go against me? The hell demonic lion sneered. Boom. Soon he roared. The black jar was like a sharp sword. It directly pierced through its huge claws, causing them to shatter into pieces. Damn it. What is that? It's too terrifying. Is it a terrifying sacred artifact? No wonder this human kid dares to challenge me. He quickly retreated and shouted coldly. Hellstorm. With a furious roar, endless thunder flew out and turned into a tornado that swept forward. This was a peerless divine ability that was related to his bloodline. Even if his opponents woo. So what if his chi was powerful? Between heaven and earth, Black thunder fell and pierced through everything. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and slapped it on the black jar. The black jar shook and endless black light flew out, turning into a terrifying vortex. Swallowing the heavens, swallowing the earth, swallowing all the lightning in the sky. How is that possible? The hell demonic lion was terrified. The black jar was too evil. He turned around and fled. Lin Xian sneered. You want to escape now? It's too late. He activated the black jar again and the black light enveloped the hell demonic lion. The hell demonic lion felt a terrifying imprisoning force that wanted to swallow him. He roared crazily and knelt on the ground to beg for mercy. Senior, please spare me. I failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please let me go. I have a treasure that I want to give to you. Please spare my life. Treasure? Lin Xian asked. What treasure is it? He was also very curious. The hell demonic lion protruded something. It was a box. He said that the treasure was inside. Lin Xian waved his hand and a sword light split the box open. He found a black stone inside. There was a talisman paper on it. What treasure is this? He frowned. He didn't feel any terrifying aura. The hell demonic lion said that although this stone looked ordinary, it was something from Mount Eternal. It had the Tao of immortality. It was something from Mount Eternal. Lin Xian was surprised. Now he had some understanding of this. The great sage was instantly turned into a skeleton. It could be said that it was very terrifying. He sneered. You're lying to me. How can you withstand the power of Mount Eternal? The hell demonic lion shook his head. It's true. The reason why I'm not emitting a terrifying aura now is because of that talisman. That talisman paper must have been left behind by a peerless almighty. I just got it by chance. When I got it, the talisman paper was on it. I opened it once and almost lost half my life, so I sealed it again. It's so magical. Lin Xian was surprised. He waved his hand and grabbed the black stone. Then he tore off the talisman on it. No. Seeing this, the demonic lion retreated in horror. Chapter 4685. Soon he was stunned. He found that Lin Xian was there, unharmed. How was this possible? He could actually block the undying Tao. Who the hell was this? The hell demon lion felt like he had kicked an iron plate. He directly crawled on the ground. He did not dare to resist. Lin Xian used the black jar to swallow this terrifying aura. The corners of his mouth curled up. It was indeed the undying Tao. He stuck the talisman paper on it again. That terrifying aura disappeared. This talisman paper was really magical. It carried an extremely strong sealing power. Lin Xian realized that compared to the stone, the talisman paper was more precious. It was an unexpected gain. He put it away in satisfaction and looked at the hell demon lion. All right, you can go. Don't let me see you again. Anyway, this time, he was only here to test the power of the black magic jar. Late-stage holy kings were no match for it. He had to find a peak-stage holy king demonic beast. Lin Xian continued to fly in the mountains and finally found another peak-stage holy king demonic beast. He used the black jar to fight it. That peak-stage holy king demonic beast was no match for him at all. Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. Great, it seemed that the power of this black jar. It was still above his imagination. Next, Lin Xian used the void beast again and teleported back. In the following days, he spent the day with these genius disciples of the great sections. At night, he would come out alone in the mountains and cultivate the black jar. He was getting more and more proficient. However, on this day, a crisis came. Between heaven and earth, 4 figures soared into the sky and charged towards him from all directions. The 4 of them were very terrifying. They were all late-stage holy kings. There was even a peak-stage holy king expert among them. That person held a long spear, and with a thrust of the spear, it was like a giant dragon rushing forward. The terrifying aura made one's scalp tingle. Lin Xian's figure swayed and dodged the attacks of the 3 people. Facing the spear, he activated the black jar. It met the attack head-on. There was a boom. The 2 collided. The black jar emitted a terrifying aura. It blasted away the terrifying energy. That person was terrified. He did not expect this Qi to be so strange. At this moment, Lin Xian attacked with his sword. The biting cold sword light swept across the surroundings. Boom, boom. The three late-stage Saint Kings tried to dodge, but one of them was cut in half. The other two were injured and vomited blood. They were shocked. How could this guy be so strong? A peak holy king waved his hand, and a red net fell from the sky, directly enveloping Lin Xian. They all laughed out loud. Lin Xian could sense that this red net was not ordinary at all. It was a terrifying weapon, Qi power that could seal him. He snorted coldly, and a dragon-shaped sword light rushed out of his body, slashing in all directions. With a boom, the red net was split into two halves. How could this be? The remaining few people were stunned. How did he manage to escape? No matter who you are? Today, all of you will die. Lin Xian coldly snorted and attacked. Damn it, stop holding back and attack with all your might. Those people roared furiously. Great desolate heaven-splitting hand. The terrifying Great Rift charged toward him. This was a type of ultimate technique. On the other side, a dragon elephant phantom appeared and attacked him again. The last elder descended from the sky with the power of a flood dragon. Lin Xian frowned. It was actually someone from the Purple Mansion. He summoned the three-eyed vermilion bird. He attacked the peak holy king. At the same time, the heaven-devouring demonic pot attacked one of them, while he attacked the other. Great desolate sky-splitting hand. He also used the same ultimate technique and clashed with his opponent. Both of them used the same ultimate technique, but Lin Xian was obviously more terrifying. He had the power of the great dragon sword soul. The other party's attack was torn apart, and his face was full of shock. How could this be? He had practiced the great desolate sky-splitting hand for so many years. How could he not be stronger than his opponent? In the next moment, another attack, the great desolate sky-splitting hand, tore his body into pieces. His soul wanted to escape, but it was directly ignited by the fire of reincarnation. He let out a painful roar. But in the end, his soul was destroyed. The other person was also like a duck in a black jar. The terrifying whirlpool. It directly swallowed his soul and continuously destroyed it. Lin Xian controlled it and did not kill the other party's soul. This person knew how to use the dragon elephant finger. He wanted to obtain this ultimate technique. When the peak holy king saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. No wonder their people had died. They actually had such an expert. He had to hurry back and inform the sect that this kid was not dead and had become abnormally terrifying. The three-eyed vermilion bird roared and attacked. At the same time, Lin Xian also released the purple qilin. Two peak holy kings. The elder's face instantly darkened. In the end, his soul was also destroyed. Lin Xian put away these people's storage rings and corpses. He used the hand of fortune to refine them into power and then put them away. After entering the great sage pagoda, Lin Xian began to refine that person's soul. That person's soul was continuously being crushed by the black millstone, hovering between life and death. He roared crazily. "Kill me. Give me a quick death." Lin Xian said coldly, "Give me the dragon elephant finger and I'll give you a quick death." In the end, Lin Xian obtained the cultivation method of the dragon elephant finger. This was also a peerless ability. After killing that person's soul, Lin Xian stood up with a cold expression. Damn the Purple Mansion, they actually sent people to kill him again. It seemed that the Purple Mansion did not give up. They should know that these people had died. They would appear in front of even more people. When they came, it would not be a peak holy king. It would be that simple. Lin Xian felt that he had to leave this place quickly. He went back to prepare and cultivate the dragon elephant finger at the same time. After 10 days, he requested to leave. The longevity hall and the other sects were all shocked. "Exalted immortal, are you leaving? Is it because we did not treat you well?" They were very anxious. They definitely could not let this immortal opportunity go. Lin Xian shook his head and said, "No, it's not about you. I'm very interested in this world. I heard that there's a mysterious Taiching ancient city, so I'm going to take a look." Then his face darkened and he asked, "Why? Do you want to imprison me?" Those people's expressions changed drastically and they shook their heads. How could we dare to control the exalted immortal? That's good. Lin Xian snorted coldly. I've made up my mind. I can take them with me. Really? That's great. Those sects all heaved a sigh of relief. Although the other party was not here, he could take these young people with him. This was also the benefit of not being injured. Soon, they began to move. They boarded a few huge chariots and quickly left. Back then, there were hundreds of geniuses who returned to Lin Xian's side. When Lin Xian left, he did not bring so many with him. He only brought 50 of them. Among them, Su Lai, Hualing, and Gu Li were all there. In addition, those people were also top-notch experts. They were incomparably excited. If they followed Lin Xian, they might be able to obtain an immortal opportunity. They would be able to ascend to become immortals. In the Purple Mansion, these people's faces were cold as they gritted their teeth. They sent 2 experts to Mount Eternal to investigate the situation. In the end, they were all destroyed. Damn it! Who did this to him? Was it the peerless sect over there? Chapter 4686. Damn it! Did they really not put the Purple Mansion in their eyes? They were preparing to send a 3rd batch of experts. This time, the number of people was 10 times more than before. They wanted to see who dared to touch their Purple Mansion. However, they didn't know that the person they were looking for had already arrived at Taiqing Ancient City. Taiqing Ancient City was incomparably mysterious. It had existed since ancient times and had endless secrets. Even the Heavenly Court and Purple Mansion were here. Of course, Lin Xian felt that the Heavenly Court's ruins were just one of the spaces. There must be such spaces in other places. However, he didn't know. Black Mountain should know. Looking at the huge ancient city in front of him, Lin Xian's eyes flickered. I wonder how Black Mountain is doing? He entered the ancient bronze coffin. Black Mountain was holding the sky lantern. He wasn't hunted down by the Purple Mansion, right? On the side, Su Lai, Hualing, Gu Li, and the others were also amazed. Is this the ancient city? It's really the same as the legends. Yes, it's my first time here. Lin Xian asked, haven't you been here before? Hualing, shook her head. This world is too vast. We only move in the area around Mount Eternal. There are also many ancient cities there. As for Taiqing Ancient City, it was quite a distance away from Mount Eternal. So we usually don't come here. Lin Xian understood. Every sect had its own area, especially these geniuses. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't leave. Unless there was a special event or some important occasion. Endless geniuses would gather. Let's go in. Lin Xian waved his hand and led his people into Taiqing Ancient City. When he returned again, Lin Xian was filled with emotion. The first time he came, he was filled with curiosity. This time, there was a biting cold light in his eyes. Some people had to be clear. After entering, Su Lai and the others were also amazed. As expected of Primeval City, it was really strong. Not only was it vast, but there were even some places with a mysterious aura. It was even more terrifying than their Longevity Hall. The legendary Purple Mansion should be here. Some people were surprised. Have you heard of immortals? The Purple Mansion was related to immortals. Lin Xian sneered. Is that so? But I was assassinated by them. What? Su Lai, Hualing, and the others were stupefied. When did this happen? How could they not know? Lin Xian said coldly. That was when I went out alone and walked in the mountains. It was someone from the Purple Mansion who came to kill me. In the end, I killed him. Acting recklessly. He actually dared to attack an ascendant immortal. So what if they were Zifu disciples? Kill them. Su Lai shouted coldly. Hualing also nodded. That's right, they dared to offend a heavenly immortal. Even if he offended us, we'll destroy him together. Lin Xian brought 50 geniuses with him this time, which could be considered a super strong force. However, he was still unable to contend against a true Zifu disciple. After all, it was an ancient sect. However, It was good for dealing with people who were alone. It was indeed enough. Before Lin Xian could say anything, the 50 people had already started discussing among themselves. With Su Lai, Hualinger, and Gu Li as the representatives, they spoke. Don't worry, exalted immortal, we will plan this. Our strength may not be enough to shake the ancient sects, but we won't let them have their way either. Let's go and make some inquiries. These people took action quickly. Lin Xian was stunned. Oh my God, it seemed like the identity of an exalted immortal was very important. It was more important than he had imagined. These people were crazy about becoming an immortal. It had to be said that these top geniuses were really capable. In 3 days they managed to find out. There was a descendant of the Purple Mansion called Ruashi. She was going to hold a banquet soon. She invited some geniuses. We can make a move on this descendant. I heard that there are several successors in the Purple Mansion, and there are many potential successors. This time, we'll make an example out of them. We'll let them know the consequences of offending an exalted immortal. Descendant, huh? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, and the corner of his mouth raised into a smile. This was also a very important existence in the Purple Mansion. Indeed, they could ruthlessly slap the Purple Mansion's face. When would they hold the banquet? Su Lai said 5 days later. Hualinger said that we can make a move on the 4th night. We'll catch them off guard. All right, let's do it. Lin Xian and the others settled down and began to cultivate. They adjusted their strength to the peak. Ruashi, one of the descendants of the 9 great immortal mountains, was good at water laws. The Purple Mansion nurtured these descendants for 2 reasons. First, it was to strengthen their strength. Secondly, they let these descendants act alone and recruit a group of geniuses. It would be best if they could get their hands on the cultivation techniques of those geniuses. As a peerless fairy, Ruashi naturally had to make a move. This time, she invited a lot of people, all of whom were peerless sects and remote antiquity families. Let these people kneel at her feet. When the time comes, these people's cultivation techniques would be easy to obtain. In the manner that was like a paradise on earth, Ruashi asked faintly. How are the preparations? Reporting to Fairy Ruashi, everything is ready. We can start tomorrow. Very good. Ruashi walked out and looked around. There were all kinds of spiritual springs around here. They didn't go back to the Purple Mansion. Instead, they found a manor outside and renovated it. This made him very satisfied. There was a waterfall in front of him. Ruashi walked forward and quietly comprehended. Then, with a wave of her hand, the law descended, bringing with it a concept. When the people around saw it, their eyes lit up. One of the old men said, Princess Ruashi's comprehension of the law is getting deeper and deeper. I think she has already surpassed us old men. Ruashi's lips curled up into a smile. She was born for water. Go back, I want to comprehend here for a while. Ruashi waved her hand and the people around her left. She was the only one left in the entire courtyard. She stood in front of the waterfall, her eyes shining brightly. The Tao on her body intertwined. She had to admit that he was very powerful. Now that she was a middle Saint King, she could defeat a late Saint King. Even if she used all her trump cards, she was confident that she could fight a peak Saint King. As a successor, she was definitely not weak. Moreover, she was ambitious. The 9 great celestial mountains, 9 successors. She was just one of them. She was considered to be average. But she wasn't satisfied. She wanted to be in the top 3. Moreover, she was also under pressure because there were many successors in the Purple Mansion. Once their cultivation and strength were caught up, they would immediately lose their identity as a successor. She couldn't relax at any moment. Now, she wanted to enter the late Saint King as soon as possible. The surrounding spirit spring kept spinning, and streams of spirit chi poured into her body. At this moment, Ruashi seemed to have turned into a water god. She was very mysterious. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. Who is it? She felt a sense of threat. The surroundings were very quiet. The sky was dark, and the clouds covered the moon. After the light dimmed, Ruashi suddenly turned around and realized that there was a figure standing behind her. That person was tall, but he was very blurry. It was hard to tell if he was real. For you. Ruashi was shocked that someone was able to sneak up behind her. Chapter 4687. How could it be? Was it a peak elder? Other than a peak sage king, no one else could have done it. However, something was not right. She could not feel the peak elder's power. Who was it? Ruashi shouted coldly. At this moment, Ruashi sensed a few figures rushing towards her. There were even more figures flashing from afar. They had all come to the courtyard. Who was it? Ruashi roared and retreated. At this moment, the figure in front of her suddenly appeared in front of her. He slapped her with his palm. Not good. It was the power of space. Ruashi was shocked. No wonder she did not notice the other party. He knew the power of space. She waved her hand and a ball of blue water spun rapidly in front of her. The sea was boundless. It enveloped the palm. The terrifying palm passed through the water and hit Ruashi's body. Ruashi was torn apart. There was no blood, only endless water that flew in all directions. Water clone. The person in front of her was stunned. Gu Li frowned. The speed of the clone was fast. No wonder he was the successor of the Z Mansion sect. Do you think you can escape? At this moment, another sneer was heard. A gigantic palm imprint descended from the sky. It was the great longevity palm imprint, cutting through the void. Ruashi was forced out and her face was pale. It was another top-notch expert. At this moment, a ball of flame formed behind her and a terrifying flame saber came towards her. The sound of water and fire colliding could be heard. Ruashi's path was blocked and her face turned cold. Who was it? Furious shouts could be heard one after another as all the people in the residence rushed over. When they saw the mysterious people in front of the courtyard, they were enraged. For you, do you know who we are? We are from the Z Mansion sect. Kneel on the ground and wait for your death. An elder shouted coldly, exuding a terrifying murderous aura. Was the Z Mansion sect powerful? The void in front of them split open again and a figure stood there. Under his feet, the void beast was blurry and it was emitting the void energy. It blocked everyone's probing. Lin Xian stood beside the void beast and waved his hand. Su Lai, Gu Li, Huiling, and the others rushed forward. 50 supreme talents were attacking together. Their power was terrifying. Ruashi's face turned ghastly pale. Why were there so many experts? They were from the remote antiquity families and the great sections. Were they joining forces to attack them? Seeking death. The elders of the Z Mansion sect shouted. Those people rushed over and a great battle broke out in an instant. Soon they realized that, although they outnumbered the Z Mansion sect, they were all top-notch experts. Although they looked young, their strength. He was even scarier than some of the older generation experts. Quickly pass on the message. The elder roared. Ruashi also wanted to escape, but it was useless. Lin Xian had already set up a matrix here. Everything was blocked, and no one could leave. The battle was completely one-sided. After all, the people of the Z government had never thought that anyone would dare to come. And it was the day before the martial arts tournament. These people were too audacious. Who were they? Kill the leader of the group, shouted the elder of the Purple Mansion sect. 3 silhouettes soared into the sky and attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian smirked. He waved his hand and the black jar floated beside him. Unleashing a terrifying devouring power, it devoured the attacks of the 3. There was even a force that wanted to devour their souls. The 3 men were terrified and wanted to retreat. Lin Xian opened his hands and the great desolation blazing sky hand tore the sky apart. The bodies of the 3 men were smashed into pieces. The people in the distance were all stunned when they saw this. Damn it. How could it be? The great desolation sky splitting hand. Who was it? It was the ultimate skill of the Z Mansion sect. Ruashi's pupils shrank. Could it be the successor of another immortal mountain? Did they attack her? Or was it the successor candidate? Damn it. She did not expect them to be so despicable. She never thought that it was Lin Xian, because it was a fact that Lin Xian had been taken away by the bronze coffin. No one thought that he could come back alive. And now Lin Xian was shrouded by the power of the void beast. No one could see him clearly. 50 top geniuses attacked together. The power was terrifying. The people of the Z Mansion sect were defeated quickly. They were heavily injured and suppressed. Ruoshi's face was pale. She stared at Lin Xian. She gritted her teeth and asked, "Who are you?" Lin Xian walked out from the side of the void beast and stepped in the air. His figure gradually became clearer. "It's you. How could you still be alive?" When Ruoshi saw Lin Xian, she was shocked. She was dumbfounded. Wasn't this guy buried in the bronze coffin? Wasn't he dead? How could he still be alive? And he had brought so many experts with him. How dare you follow the immortal? How dare you be so rude? A big palm appeared and slapped towards Ruoshi. Ruoshi's body shook as she tried to block it. At this moment, Huolinger slashed again. Ruoshi's face was pale. Gu Li stepped in the air and suddenly appeared. He slapped out. Ruoshi was finally injured. She could no longer stand being attacked by 3 top experts. She vomited blood and fell to the ground. But she still couldn't believe it. Immortal? Damn it. What was this guy doing? Where did he get this identity from? Lin Xian's lips curled up as he looked at the other party. Stupid ant, submit to me. You're an immortal. Ruoshi couldn't believe it. What a joke. She wanted to resist. Suddenly, a terrifying light burst out from her eyes. As one of the successors, how could she not have a trump card? Her injury was real, but part of it was fake. Her main purpose was to attack the leader. Now that she saw Lin Xian, she was ready to attack. A crystal box flew out of her hand, and 3 sparkling and translucent water droplets fell out of it. It was terrifying. 1 drop was enough to destroy everything. Huolinger, Su Lai, and the others felt a sense of horror. Damn it. This guy still has a trump card. Immortal, this is bad. They exclaimed. Lin Xian sneered. Golden light bloomed in his eyes. The black jar floated up and created a black vortex. It swallowed the 3 terrifying water droplets. At the same time, he pointed his finger at the other party's glabella. The other party's glabella cracked. Countless cracks appeared on his body. Dragon elephant finger. How did you learn such a secret skill? Ruoshi was shocked. She couldn't believe it. The power of the dragon elephant was too much for her to bear. Lin Xian said calmly, "I'm an immortal. Of course, I can control everything." After saying that, he waved his hand. The power of the Tai Chi diagram flew out. It shrouded the other party and sealed him completely. He left a dragon-shaped sword chi in the other party's body. When the dragon-shaped sword chi entered, Ruoshi's face turned pale. She felt despair. She felt a power that could destroy all life. The other party had too many trump cards. She couldn't believe it. Is he really just a young man? How should we deal with this person? Huolinger asked. Lin Xian said calmly, "I want to suppress this person. Kill the rest." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.